How is that data displayed? Or in the health data itself?
Within the application or within the forensic tool?
Within the forensic tool.
Okay. So within the forensic tool, we break down, or within Physical Analyzer, we break down the health data into hour segments. So for an hour, we may say that there are 3 flight climbs. And then it's up to the user to dig in a little further. They can select that 1 hour and then see how that activity breaks down over the hour. So you would see that there were 2 flight climbs that occurred at 10 minutes after the hour, and then another flight climb occurred later on.
So showing you page 6 of your report here. The top box here, is that showing the general hour data where 3 flights have been climbed?
Correct. So in this case, the user is looking at a time period between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the health data that's been pulled from the database has been aggregated. And it tells you that there's 98 samples being considered. The maximum heart rate during that hour-long period was 108. The distance traveled was approximately 759 meters. And there were 5 flights climbed within that hour.
And then below that, you break that down a little further, correct?
Correct. So this is further down the screen in the interface, where we can see actual time of 10:17:27, where there's 2 flights climbed. And again, another record at 10:17:28, where there were 2 flights climbed, and then a further flight climb at 10:49.
And then going down to the bottom here, this table, what are we seeing here in this table?
So you may have realized in the slide above where there was 2 flight climbs at 17 seconds past and 2 flight climbs at 18 seconds past. That's an unrealistic measurement. It's because one of those measurements comes from the phone and one comes from the watch. This table breaks it down to say which of these records came from the watch and which came from the phone, because there are some which overlap.
So what you're saying is the prior table showed the 4 flights of stairs being climbed at the same time within seconds, which isn't rational. But this breaks it down to show some of that data is coming from the watch and some of it's coming from the phone, correct?
Correct. So if we look at records at 4 and 5 here, for example, we can see a start time of 10:17:27 and an end time of 10:27:06, where the watch recorded 2 flight climbs. And then 1 second later, a start time, and 2 seconds later for the end time, we see the watch also detected 2 flight climbs. This is just the same 2 flight climb events that happened, but both devices recorded those flight climbs with slightly different timestamps.
And that will happen if I'm wearing my watch and I have my phone in my pocket and I go up the stairs?
That's correct.
Did you do something to compare these times and make a table where where you ignored or disregarded the double entries?
I did. I tried to correlate and discard all of the duplicate information. So where there was an event of a flight climb that was recorded on the watch and the phone, rather than provide information that said there was 2 flight climbs, I would ignore one of them and limit it to just the ones which we could prove happened.
And that's displayed here in this chart at the bottom of page 7 of your report?
Correct.
Going to page 8 of your report, we have here at the top of page 8, does that show the last flight climbs recorded on either the defendant's phone or watch?
It does. It shows that there was additional flight climb events logged by the phone, which were not logged by the watch, at 17:03 and 17:33.
So these records indicate that at 5:03 p.m., the defendant's iPhone was with the person as it went up the stairs, and then at 5:33 p.m., the iPhone was with the person as it went up the 2 flights of stairs.
Correct.
And there's a time difference there. The start time is 5:33 p.m. and the end time is 5:38 p.m. For 2 flights of stairs. So that's roughly 5 minutes in between the 2 flights. Is there a way to explain that length of time?
The way the Apple Health data records this information, aggregates it, it tries to group events together. So in this case, it would have recognized that there was a flight climb on the phone at around 17:33:34, and a second one at around 17:38:33, and it just grouped them both into one event. It doesn't mean that it took 5 minutes to walk up 2 flights of stairs. It's just within that 5-minute period, there were 2 flight climbs.
So if I have my phone in my pocket and I climb up a flight of stairs and then I spend a few minutes on that floor, and then still with my phone in my pocket go up another flight of stairs, that's representative of what we're seeing here at 5:33?
Correct. There tends to be around a 10-minute window where it tries to check every 10 minutes, but it can reduce that window in a case like this where it sees that there's group data within a smaller time period.
And then further down on page 8, we have another table here, which seems to have combined data of heart rate and flight climb data. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you also look at web usage on the extraction of the defendant's phone?
I did, yes.
And what did you do to look at the web usage on the phone, and what time frame did you look at?
For web usage, I expanded the time of interest to early January to the 24th of January, and just took a look at any web history over that time. There was over 1,300 records recovered. I took a cursory look down that list and highlighted some which potentially were relevant to the case, and then provided the 1,300 actual records as a appendix report.
And going to page 12 of your report, looks like you started here on January 10th, 2023. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And basically here you list various searches that occurred on each day between January 10th and January 24th from the extraction. Is that correct?
That's correct. Broken down by day with the time of the search, the website that was visited, the title of the web page, and then the identifier in the database.
And looking at these searches, on January 12th, 2023, at 19:48, so that would be 7:48 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
There was a search. In the title it says, "How quickly does Wellbutrin work for depression?" Is that the title? Is that what the user is putting into the search?
If I could see the search, please.
I'll zoom in on that.
Yes, so the top entry here we can see starts with https www.google.com/search $Q. The text after the Q, how quickly does Wellbutrin work, is what the user searched. Typically that is exactly as the user typed it, assuming that there are no auto-completions in place. In this particular case, it appears it was searched using Safari. So there's no auto-completion. That is essentially what the user typed in. And then the title, how quickly does Wellbutrin I can't say that word, I'm afraid. Wellbutrin, thank you. Work for Depression, Google search is the title of the page which Google assigns.
So where it says after the Q, how plus, quickly plus, does plus, the user's not putting in those pluses, correct? Is that, what were you calling those?
So that's part of the attribute. It's how the data is encoded in a URL or in a web search. You can't have spaces within this address string, so they replace the spaces with the plus symbol.
So I type in how quickly does, and the computer adds the pluses in space marks?
Yes, it's URL encoding to make it safe for the browser.
And then at 7:49, there's a search for Lamictal for depression.
Yes, and depression spelled with a B at the end instead of an N, which demonstrates that this is what the user typed in rather than a page that was being visited.
And then a few minutes later at 7:55 p.m., the user typed in Elavil for depression, correct?
Correct.
And then on page 16, on January 18th, 2023, at 10:25, we have a search there, ketamine for suicidal ideation, is that correct?
Correct.
And again, that's the user typing that in?
Yeah, again, those words were typed in by the user.
And then on January 19th, 2023, on page 17 of your report, we have symptoms of postpartum psychosis searched on January 19th.
Correct.
And again, so we're looking at, this is AM, correct? 9:24 AM that was searched?
Yes, the morning.
And then 9:30 AM, there's another search for psychosis symptoms?
Yes.
Going back to that same page, page 17, at the bottom for January 24th, we have here searches for kids Miralax at 4:02 p.m. and Takeout 3V at 4:13 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then CVS Pharmacy at 4:47 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
There was also an Apple note that you found in the records, correct?
That was.
The Apple note, in your report, it says it was created on December 22nd, 2022 at 10:23 a.m. Strike that, and then modified at 10:23 a.m. on January 23rd, 2023, correct?
Correct.
And are you able to tell what in the note was modified?
No, there's no real auditable log to look back and see how many times it's been modified over the course of its life. I was able to do some amount of recovery to see that on the day it was created, it started in a very similar way to as it's written on the 24th or 23rd of January, but the exact changes between when it first was created and the last time it was modified, we don't know.
And then you also looked at messages, correct?
Correct.
And were you able to compile the messages that were sent and received between the defendant and her mother and the defendant and her husband on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And were you able to arrange it using the tools that you use in a way that looks like you might see it on your phone?
Yeah, I tried to prepare it in a report which would be easy for any viewer to understand based on their own usage of text messaging.
So showing you page 19 of your report, what we have here is an enlarged version of what you might see on your phone, correct?
Correct.
And so is this in blue, is this Lindsay's phone?
It is. The messages in blue on the right would be outgoing. The messages in gray on the left would be incoming.
And so we have a photo being sent out from Lindsay's phone to her mother, and then a reply coming back, and that pattern goes on and on, correct?
Correct.
And then looking at page 22, you were able to do the same in terms of her contact with Patrick Clancy that day, correct?
I did, yes.
And so in gray, we have Patrick Clancy sending a message to Lindsay Clancy, and in blue is the response, correct?
Correct.
Were you, were you also able to look at the phone calls that occurred either incoming or outgoing to the defendant's phone on January 24th, 2023?
I did, yes.
And looking at page 27 and 28 of your report, first on page 27, just looking closely at the phone. Here in the report, it says 2024. Is that a typo? Is that supposed to be 2023?
That's meant to be 2023, yes, I apologize.
Okay. And so what we see here, can you just tell us what these columns are?
Yeah, the start time of the call, typically when it is answered by the recipient. The end time, when the call's ended. The metadata is information including who the call was to or from, how long the call lasted, and then the reason that the call disconnected, and then a record ID. So if you had the database, you could go in and find this record based on the ID number.
And looking at page 28, so this is the continuation of that table regarding the phone calls, is that correct?
Correct.
And so what we're seeing here is at 17:33, which would be 5:33 p.m., there's an incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay's phone, is that correct?
Correct.
And it says duration 8 seconds, 0 seconds. Does that mean it was not answered?
In this case, it was an unanswered call.
And then at 5:34 p.m., roughly a minute later, there's an outgoing call from Lindsay's phone to Patrick's, correct?
Correct.
And that call was approximately 14 seconds?
Correct.
And then at 6:09 p.m., another incoming call from Patrick to Lindsay that went unanswered?
That's correct.
Now, you also, in a section you called media, you have some photographs that were taken from the phone with some metadata included, correct?
Correct.
What is metadata?
Metadata is information about that photograph. It could be the device that captured it, the time that it was captured, the location, information about the lens, the lighting, etc.
And so looking at page 29 of your report, just for an example, what we have here are 3 photographs, correct?
Correct.
And the metadata for the first one shows captured at South Shore Medical Center, is that correct?
Correct.
How were you able to determine that's where that photograph was taken?
The metadata of the photo included the latitude and longitude where the image was captured. I took that latitude and longitude and looked on Google Maps to see a physical address. In this case, it came down to the South Shore Medical Center.
And then the third photo here, that shows captured at the home address on Summer Street, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you looked at device usage. What is device usage?
Device usage would relate to how the user is operating the device. So when they have it unlocked, locked, what applications being used at any particular time. Essentially anything which is not a message or a phone call or results in additional data like that.
I'm looking at page 32 of your report. In that device usage log, it shows that the last time the device usage was logged was at 5:13 p.m., correct?
So this table relates just to the locking and the unlocking of the device. So the last time the device was unlocked was at 17:13:16. The device was locked again around 2 minutes later at 17:15:12, and the device was not unlocked again.
And so where the device was not unlocked again after 5:16 p.m., but we have a phone call being made at 5:34 p.m., how does that happen?
There is a setting within iPhones that allow you to use a locked device to call back numbers for missed calls. So in this case, Lindsay had the missed phone call. That would have shown on screen as a notification as a missed call. And without unlocking the device, you're able to call that person back.
So you just press on the icon that shows up, you have a missed call, you press on that, and you can call the person back without unlocking the phone?
Correct.
And then what is application focus?
Application focus is literally the application which is visible on screen at any given time. And
at 4:13 p.m., 16:13, on January 24th, you've highlighted it in green here. What are we seeing there?
At 16:13:23 until 16:14:50, the Apple Maps application was being used, visible on screen.
Is it then used again at 5:13 and 5:14 p.m.? Or is that a different application?
So at 5:13 until 5:14, it was mobile Safari. So the mobile version of Safari, the internet browser, was on screen. And at 17:14:47 until 17:15:08, it was the mobile SMS or messaging application, which was on screen.
So do you just look at the part that's in parentheses to see what application was open or being used at the time?
Correct. What application was on screen at the time?
So for example, where it says 17:34, which would be 5:34 p.m., and in parentheses is in-call service, does that represent a phone call?
It does. That's the screen that indicates you're in a phone call.
And staying with the same page, page 34, you've made some notes here. Let's go out a little bit. Regarding Apple Maps, Safari, and messaging. So can you just explain what you pulled from the data for Apple Maps?
Yeah, Apple Maps was used to plan a route from the user's current location, the home address, to a restaurant called 3V.
And that was at 4:13 p.m.?
It was.
And then in terms of Safari, you have the last unlock at 5:13 p.m.?
Yes, so the last unlock of the device was used for the purposes of viewing Safari, where PDLX was searched using Google.
And then in terms of messaging, what did you pull from the data there?
At the same time, or in that same device usage, so the device was unlocked, Safari was used to search PDLX, and then the messaging application was opened to send a message to Patrick saying PDLX liquid stool softener.
And that was at 5:15 p.m.?
It was.
And then did you create a timeline combining all the data that we've talked about into one timeline?
I did, yes.
I'm going to the last page of your report, page 43. Is this the last page of the timeline?
It is, yes.
And in that page, can you explain what we're seeing here?
Yes, so the very first column is the timestamp. The next few columns, which show typically colored, is related to the activity, which will become a little bit clearer in a moment. The row or the column in the center explains what the record is. So if, for example, we look at the 17-13-16 record, we can see a U, which means the device was unlocked in pink. That unlock event lasted until 17-15-12. So hence that entire column is in pink and shows the relevant lock event.
So here we have 513 device unlock.
Yes.
515 device lock, and there's this column connecting them, correct?
Correct. And then any activity that happened during that unlock time is then shown within the rows between. So again, we see Safari open at 17-13-16. Safari was closed at 17-14-47. Messaging was opened at 17-14-47. While messages were open, there was an outgoing message sent for PDLX. Then messaging was closed. Messaging was opened again, and messaging was closed prior to the device locking. So everything in the colored columns tries to show all of the events that happened at the same time or during that parent event.
And what we have here at 5:33 p.m., we have the flight climb started, is that correct?
Correct.
And flight climb ended at 5:38, so
yes.
That line again connecting them?
Correct. So 2 flight climbs occurred during that time period.
And in between when the flight climb started and the flight climb ended, you have the 2 calls, the incoming call that was missed from Patrick and then the outgoing call to Patrick, correct?
Correct.
So the first flight climbed had already been started. Someone had already started climbing up a flight of stairs when that first unanswered call happened, correct?
So flight climb started is how it's listed within the database and within the software. But it actually, the flight climb time is when the flight climb has been recognized by the device as the device has already climbed up those stairs. So even though it says flight climb started, that's technically the time that the flight climb or the first flight climb had ended.
So where it says 5:33, 34 flight climb started, that actually indicates the person has gone up that first flight of stairs already.
Yes, that indicates the phone has now realized I'm 3 meters higher than I was the last time I checked. Therefore, a flight climb has already been completed at that point.
And then the calls happen, and then the phone realizes at 5:38 that another flight has been climbed.
Correct.
I would move to submit the report as the next exhibit.
No objection.
All right, that report may be admitted.
266. I have nothing further.
All right. All right, so members of the jury, remember I said it might be a little stop and start here today. This is one of those stops. All right, so we're going to take a short break and then we'll come right back and return for the cross-examination of this witness. Okay?
All rise, please, Your Excellency.
Jurors have exited the quorum. This court's in session.
All right, so the court will be in a short recess at this time. Thanks.
Court, all rise.
Yo, I mean, have you ever? Have you ever? It's like, I've never in my life, y'all. But this is going to be a stop and go kind of day. Why are we stopping? What is going on? He's getting that unicorn drink. I'm telling you, he's like double point, Starbucks, unicorn drink ends at 11. He's like, we've got some business to attend to in the back. He's door dashing so fast right now. So here we are. Wait, hold on. Okay, so a couple of things. Let's do some housekeeping real quick. So first of all, I did a I don't know what you call this survey. Survey says yesterday about do we stream Tupac in the afternoon? The majority wanted to continue with Lindsay Clancy. So that's what we'll do, and we'll catch up and see what happened at opening statements with Mario Fernandez, Saldana, as well as Tupac tonight in our our little catch up or whatever that we do. So help me out here with this, y'all. So this is what I took from what we just saw. Now you saw, number one, I came in late, and number two, we've got the painter here. He's at the front door. It's like knocking. The dogs are going crazy. So just all this stuff going on. The biggest thing that I saw from this testimony that she was pulling out of him was the Google search, because I was like, oh, I see where we're going now. Obviously, she's trying to sit here and show the pattern in the house of, well, she went up and down the stairs or whatever. But when she said that she Googled postpartum psychosis symptoms a few days before, which that could go either way, I think. And again, I'm just trying to look at this from a juror perspective, because it's kind of like, okay, so if you're thinking you have that, like how often do you, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but like I do this all the time where I'll be like, convince myself that I have some ailment or something, and I'll sit there and Google it. And so that doesn't strike me as odd, but I can see how the state would want to make it like, oh no, wait, hold on. The state would want to make it look like pre-planning. She's saying, she's looking this up. She's getting the symptoms for it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I see where you're going with that now. Because other than that, I was just like, okay, yeah. So there's the Apple Watch. It was at the house, going up and down here. The Google search is about ketamine for SI. The SI is short for the, taking yourself out ideation. I mean, again, I don't know how all this works, but in my world, looking at it from like if I was a lawyer, but they could have already sorted this out. The only thing I would have done up there has been like, okay, wait, what were these Google searches beforehand? So 3 days before she's talking about what are the symptoms for this, then I would have been like, okay, thanks. I'm done with that. You see what I'm saying? I would have let it had a thud, but then it's like, granted, she didn't really question him that long, but it was just kind of like, okay, here we go. We're asking all these other questions. Ba, 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 ba. So, I don't know. I want to, but see, here's the thing too with this. We don't even know, like, say they rest today, the state rest, if that we get there, well, the judge can be like, well, we're taking the afternoon off. We're doing this. We're doing that. So I don't even know what every day is going to look like for this. So I don't even want to say like, oh, well, we'll do this afternoon or that this afternoon. I don't even know. Because at this point, I mean, if we can just finish the trial, that's a good day. I just again feel like, and I think Erin's a lawyer, and she gives a lot of good advice and stuff. And she was like, "You'll see the state present their experts on the rebuttal." So I'm like, okay, because again, I'm like, I want to hear from the state's experts. Obviously the defenses, but we haven't gotten to the defenses. So when they get up there, 100%, I want to hear from them. But it's like with the state, I'm like, I'm ready to hear that. You know what I mean? It's just this just keeps drowning on and on and on. Now, I saw a lawyer talking about, and I don't know if you saw the show. It was on one of these shows that we kind of watch. But I can't think of who it was, but they were talking about not guilty by reason of insanity and how that plays out in different states and whatnot. And they named some other places, and they were like, look, the way that this works out in other states is you go up for there, and if they find you like, okay, yeah, you are not, how do you say it, mentally, whatever, responsible, you go to a psychiatric type place until you're rehabilitated, and then you go to prison to serve out your sentence for the crime. So in this case, it's like you would then be shipped off to serve your sentences for taking the life of the 3 children after you were rehabilitated. Competent. Thank you, Jello. I could not spit that word out. And they were like, but of course, that's not how it is in mass, right? It's very different. And so they were talking about the dynamic where, okay, how would that look? How would people feel a little bit different because there's so much discourse on? But yes, she could go up for review and get out, eventually or whatever, and how people have an issue with that, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was a good point because I do think that could play, on the jury's part. I also saw another, and this was like a clip, y'all. So this is not, factual. This is not any of that kind of stuff. It's just a clip that I saw of an attorney talking, and they were talking about, they were a jury expert or whatever. And she was saying that once you get to the point of like a juror looking at the defendant with disgust, it's pretty much a done deal. And I guess apparently it's been reported there's been a couple of jurors that have looked at Lindsay with, a look of disgust a couple of times. But they also were speaking to the term of, they were kind of going hung jury way because it's like, it's just so split people's opinions on it so far. So Tupac's trial starts today. Originally, I did a post to be like, hey, do y'all want to watch that in the afternoon, depending on what happens with this? And meaning versus Lindsay Clancy, but the majority picked Lindsay Clancy, so that's what we'll keep doing. And we'll just do our evening time catch up and figure out what happened in the opening statements with both that and the Mario Fernandez Saldana trial, which is the Shauna Gardner situation trial. There's multiple people going to trial in that. One started today. I think it's going on right now. So no, but somebody, K Bush, did you email me about Hayden P's death? Oh, no, never mind. I have not. I have not looked into it enough to know. You're talking about the Hayden, okay, from Nashville, the show. At first, I was like, "Who is this?" I recognize her face. It took me a minute. Yeah, that's really sad. Oh, hear me out. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope your day or evening goes better for you, and thanks for the super chat. I hope everything goes well. Get you some good sleep, some good shut eye. I know she was so young, right? So young. So sad. Hayden P is an actress, and she was young, and she was opening up about postpartum depression, and apparently wait, hold on. It says Hayden P says opening up about postpartum depression cost her a 10-year deal with Neutrogena. Neutrogena and I were together for 10 years. They had morality clauses that had a huge impact on my life because I was a teenager, constantly followed by paparazzi. It keeps going on, but she's talking about this situation, and it cost her a major deal by talking about it. Oh, I'm sorry, Ash. That's terrible. I know you're just heartbroken over that. Oh my gosh. I hope you're doing as best as you can. My goodness. I know, right? Katie says finding out Neutrogena let her go because of talking about PPD. It's so heartbreaking, especially watching the trial currently. I know. I'm like, really? Because Neutrogena, like, it's, and I might be thinking of the wrong company, but don't they kind of like pivot themselves as being like this kind of all natural, inclusive, body positivity, kind of vibe? Or am I thinking about another brand? I could be. I don't know. But it's just like, really? And y'all are going to like do that? Like what's the deal with that? That doesn't even sound right. Hold on. Okay, that's them. Dove. Okay, I'm thinking of Dove. Or is it Dove or is it both of them? Dove is the big one. Okay, I'm thinking of Dove. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about with the Dove commercials and stuff. Yeah. It has like a very like, yeah, how do you say it? Like clean aesthetic and back to basics kind of vibe or whatever. Pardon me. Good morning, everybody who's just joining. So, for people who are just joining, they have taken a break. I don't think they really even court very long. They had a digital forensics person on the stand who testified to some of her searches, where her Apple Watch was, the movements with the Apple Watch and the phone. And that's kind of it. And then they took a break, and we're going to come back, and Reddington, I guess, is going to cross-examine the guy. I'm not sure why they're on a break. They didn't say. I mean, this is just how court goes with this courtroom. Unfortunately, it's a very slow process. So we'll see what comes of it. Allegedly, the state might close today, or rest today. I'm sorry, but we'll see. I'm not believing anything with this case until we're in the moment of it at this point. It's just they keep saying that we might be close. Yeah, we're still a week out from that. So sorry, not buying it. I'm not buying it. No, I'm not. Whoa, shooby doo ba doo. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Fetch and Rest says climbing the flights is so sad knowing that when she took the call from Patrick, the kids were already dead. Yeah, it is. It is. Jesse says, CW better rest because we're tired of them. I think what it is, and again, I'm speaking from my perspective here from the sofa and the comfort of the sofa and all that type stuff or whatever. But like, I feel like when I say they've lost the audience, it's just they've lost the audience. And I'm guessing that the jury is probably feeling kind of the same way we are, where it's like, what's going on here? This is just, what are we doing here? Right. It just kind of flounders and flounders and flounders. And I guess looking at it, if the state is trying to prove, so what was it somebody said earlier? It's up to the state of Massachusetts to prove that she was insane. Wait, to prove that she's sane. So she is, the law in Mass is that she is assumed insane, and it's up to the state to prove otherwise. So, oh my gosh, hold on. So that would help to inform the trajectory that we've seen here, right? So seeing how they're trying to prove all this stuff, like, no, see, these people testified, they saw her, she's making decisions, she's doing this, she didn't tell the doctors this, she didn't tell the doctors that, all this stuff or whatever. But even me looking at it in that context, and again, I don't know, and I'm guessing or assuming that in preliminary hearing somewhere there was something that maybe was like, you can't frame things in this way or that way. Because to me, I'm like, if that's what you're trying to prove, like, you need to voice that. Because it's like, I mean, I think that you're just kind of sitting here like, okay, so you just put this information up. Really tell why. This is why we're putting this up here. This is the why behind it. And maybe they'll do that in closing, but I feel like they needed to do that along the way to remind the jury constantly, and not just like these little insinuations. It was just like them when they got up to the sidebar, they didn't go too far. They got to the sidebar. They ended up taking a car, and they're like, "Oh no, we're not insinuating that her cell phone unaliving events were faked. We weren't insinuating that at all, inferring that." And the judge is even like, everything that you've said about that, I've inferred that you're insinuating that it was, a lackluster attempt and whatnot. That's just what it feels like. They're inferring all this stuff, but not committing to it so far. And so I'm kind of like, okay, where are we going here? Right. And so that's where I just feel like you could have cut half these witnesses out. Wait, hold on. Okay, sorry. I said shooby. Dooby 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 doo. I said shooby. Shooby doo. Yeah, somebody says they were implying it was fake. They were freaking skywriting it. Really. It's just, yeah, it's been, also says Judge is confused and like the rest of it. That's just what it feels like. So that's where at this point it's like, we need to turn the channel. We need the defense up here. We need just something different, right? We need to see a different perspective on this and see. I want to see if the defense is able to package it up better and be like, boom, here's this. And I think he will be. I think he's probably way more experienced. And so something. But again, it just feels like it takes so long to get there, right? It just keeps going and going and going. And they take a break, and then the state gets up there, and then they take a break, and then I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, curious as if they don't. Did you mean if they don't nail the closing? Well, okay, yeah, I think you're correct in that. But yeah, from what I saw, you're right. I agree. Like if the state doesn't nail, like really just be like, boom, here's this. It's kind of like, okay, what was that about? What was it even that about? But then again, one thing that's going to be interesting with this is to see how the defense does it and what they present. And then what the jury feels like. Again, at the end of the day, it's up to the jury, right? Like that's who it matters is what their interpretation is. And I'm very curious to see if they're going to get 12 people to all come to the same thing. I'll be very curious to see how long it takes. Oh, hey, Leslie, how's it going? I know, right? An avatar jury camera, that would be fun. Keep things interesting. Yeah, at this point so far, I feel like it's a hung jury. The state's been so confusing and floundering with their case. So that's where I'm just like, okay, what was that? And so then when the defense gets up and presents it, again, it's just, you're going to have some jury members that are probably going to feel a certain way. And then it just depends on the way that the attorneys, because you know how in closings the attorneys will usually be like, this is the law, this is the charge, this is what we had to prove, and this is how we felt we proved it, right? Whether it's the state defense, like, yeah, this is how we outline the case. And then when the judge sends them off and they're like, sorry, the dogs are making little Yorkie noises. When they send the jury off and it's like, here's the jury instructions. These are your outlines. This is what the parameters you can operate in. Usually then it makes more sense of like, okay, now that we have all this information, here it is. And I'm hoping for that in this moment. But again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Does anybody know this, the state prosecutor here, the CW? Is she very experienced? Because I saw another person commenting, another attorney or something that was basically like, I think what happened is this case went up and the DA was like, almost like a political thing. Like, we can't not try it. Like, it gets political like that. Like, it's election year. We got to, we can't sit here. We got to put this up. And they basically went around to the person who picked the shortest straw and was like, you have to go do this. Right. And like come up with something and like, that type thing. But maybe she's a very seasoned. I don't know. It just feels weird. Jesse says the CW is a Dr. Tufts of the prosecutor's office. That's funny. That's funny. And then, yeah, so again, and Sunshine says, yeah, this case is so polarizing. I think a hung jury too. And yeah, it says it'll probably be mostly not guilty by insanity and a couple of holdouts who don't care she was insane and wanted to burn anyways. I mean, that's kind of the way I see it going. I think some people are just going to have a very strong opinion about feeling like she could potentially walk out of the institution or whatever, right? So I don't know. And I feel like some people would just have a serious issue with that. I personally think, like, whatever that attorney I was listening to, that if Massachusetts was like, yeah, if you're found not guilty by reason of insanity, we put you in an institution, and once you've been rehabilitated, you go to prison to serve the rest of your sentence. And in this case, it would probably be life without parole. You would get, I mean, people would be like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, she can go. Now, who knows what that looks like when you go to an institution like that? If you are like, I don't want to go to prison, so I'm just going to do what I got to do to be here. I don't know. Then I see tons of people talking about, look, everybody thinks this is some kind of cakewalk that, oh, I'm going to go to a psychiatric institute instead. And they're like, it's just as bad, if not worse sometimes. But I think the thing that people are going to have an issue with is that there's a potential to get out at some point. So, we'll see. Because that's the discourse that I see and the various opinions and whatnot. So we'll see. Pardon me. So we'll see how it pans out. We'll see what takes place with it. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. It was a very busy weekend here. One of my friends had turned the big 6-0. And so went to a little pool party for that. And that was nice and fun. And that was yesterday or Saturday. And just got a lot of stuff done around the house. Did physical therapy this morning. That's why I started late. Oh, thanks, Jesse. I appreciate that. And did a lot of YouTube-y stuff. So that was basically what was taking place. Shooby-dooby-doo. Yeah, Auntie Reese says, I'm not ruling anything out till I hear Red's case. Absolutely. Yep. I want to see exactly how he frames his case, how he gets up there and does that. So he is apparently the lawyer that you want to have for this type of situation, right? So he's been doing this for a very long time, and we'll see how it goes over. We'll see. It's a very, very tricky thing to get. Very few people actually ever get, the not guilty thing. So we'll see. We shall see. Shooby-doo. So other things going on. There's lots of stuff in true crime going on right now, y'all. So again, the Tupac Shakur trial is happening today, this afternoon. We've got Mario. And you know what? Let's go over here. Hold on while we're sitting here. I'm not going to change the screen or anything, but what we're going to do is we are going to sit here and let's just see what's going on over there now. Okay. Live updates. Let's just go over here. Live updates. Boom, 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 boom. I said a shooby. I said a doobie. I said a shooby doobie doobie doo. I said a shoo doobie. Shoo doobie. Doobie doobie doo 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 doo. Okay. So let's see here. Police interview many people to rule out other suspects. They followed every lead. Oh, wait, let's stop it down here. Hold on. So Mario Fernandez Saldana is charged with first-degree murder and solicitation to commit murder. If convicted, the top count of the first degree, he faces his life in prison without parole. And the prosecutors' opening statements, they talk about the site of the execution. So Jared is the victim in this case, and he had just dropped off his 2 children. Hold on. And his ex-wife, Shauna Gardner, lived there with the defendant. Okay, so the dude who's on trial right now. Okay, so one of his daughters, the 2-year-old, was in the car with him. Now, minutes after he drops the child off, minutes after dropping off his 2 children with Gardner, he got out of his car to remove a tire from the road, and a figure stepped out and fired 4 10-millimeter bullets. They went into the car where his daughter was sitting. 2 went into Jared. Beckley was still strapped to her car seat and remained there for 7 minutes. He died without knowing if she was safe. No witnesses other than Beckley. 2 people behind Jared, they brought out the 2-year-old. She told Janelle Witness, something happened to my daddy. Shortly before 8 p.m., Jared Bragdon died on asphalt, not from the car accident, but a premeditated murder. The killer picked, hired, and solicited for that person. No link to Jared, no trail back to the people who planned and financed Jared's killing. The architect intended to be the perfect crime. A surveillance camera captured the last of the gunshots and this figure walking and running from frame. I mean, it's really a crazy, crazy thing that they pulled off, of course. And then let's see, officers who responded were young and inexperienced. What you'll hear is a years-long investigation. A man executed in front of his child. And what was the clear manner of his death was not consistent with a robbery. First indication was that it was a road rage incident. And then the killer placed that tire. That tire was a trap. It was dark. No businesses around. The tire was as much as the murder weapon as the gun. And the question was, who in the world wanted Jared dead? The answer is Shauna Gardner, his ex-wife, and this defendant, Mario Fernandez. We will prove it with evidence, the state says. It will become apparent to you the same fact. No one in the world truly wanted Jared dead. No one had a motive except Gardner and Fernandez. So, and it's just, opening statements are underway. So watch out, because it's going to get spicy. So we'll see. I said it should be. I said it do be. I hope everybody has a good week planned up. We'll just be seeing what's going on with this trial. I think this trial is going to go on several more weeks. I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. We'll stream as much as we can. There might be some days where it's like, I can't do the afternoon, or I got something in the morning or whatever, but we'll do as much as we can, and we'll catch up in the evenings with all the trials going on. And then other trials are going to be starting up during this too. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. Just work. Yep, I hear you. I hear you. I need some coffee too. You know what? Well, can I go downstairs? Let me think. The guy's still up front. No, I better not. I was like, I want some coffee. But then I'm like, if I go down there, the dogs are going to go crazy. Let me see where Matt's at. Please hold. Your call is important to me. Okay. Yeah, I can't. The way the judge said they would be taking breaks, I thought the defense was going to. I thought something was like, because I'm like, why did they take a break after that? It was like he knew that, and he said that he told the jury, "Hey, you know how I told you that we'd be taking some breaks? Well, this is going to be one of those moments." So I feel like there is something going on with this particular witness and the defense, maybe, right? Like they had to meet over something. I don't know. But heavens to Betsy, I mean, this could go on. But it's a very complicated case. I'm kind of like having a little conversation with myself about it because I'm like, it's such a unique, such a complicated case in many ways. I don't know. We'll see. Wait, hold on. Let me see what the painter's doing. He's painted. Pardon me. Hello, hear me out. Why is everybody following these other cases and ignoring the fact that they've been told by Sarah Boom that she still has no stamps for ACM prison? I know. You know what? I'm feeling I really do need to do a coffee setup up here. That's a good idea. Then you could just be completely like self-contained in here. No malicious, not intentional. So I'm seeing people starting to stream the Tupac trial at like 12:30 around there. Does that mean it'll start then? No, I think it'll be a little bit later because I'm on East Coast time and it's basically 11. So over there it's what 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to, or it's 8 o'clock, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. Yeah. Yeah. If I had a little mini fridge and a little coffee station, done. Snacks, please. Yeah. And you know, I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me. I have so much coffee stuff, if you will. I wonder if I have a secondary little.
Court is back in session. You may be seated.
Here we go.
Yeah. Counsel, we ready for the jury? Yes. All right.
How much you want to bet he still wants to take a break? He's like, well, now it's time for a morning break. A popcorn machine would be very nice. Very nice indeed.
All rise, please. Jurors entering.
Okay, sorry. The AC kicked on and it's freezing. Look at that box they have over there. It's like live, love, the signs that you get at like Hobby Lobby or something. See that box on the defense desk? Hey, Amy.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Reddington?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Whiffen, just a couple of things. One of the takeaways or question that I had is that you were talking about, in reference to the Apple Health data, it's fair to say that there's an issue as to the accuracy or reliability of the Apple Health data. You've actually done research on that.
I've done research on it, yes.
Okay, and one of the things that you did is back about a year ago, June 28th of 2025, you did a blog article on Apple Health accuracy and reliability, and it talked about using a pitch, which I think is, you guys refer to like a football field or something?
It was a rugby field, but yes.
And then you had somebody put the watch in their right pocket, somebody with the left pocket, and then someone else held it in their hand, you measured it, and things of that nature, right?
Correct, it was 3 phones.
Some of the things were off a little bit, but basically you put that in your report and you were able to draw your conclusion as to the accuracy and reliability, as you say, of the Apple Health data, right?
Correct.
Now, if someone is wearing an Apple Watch, is that what records heart rate?
As the heart rate is on the watch, yes.
It is on the watch,
Yes.
okay. And the steps that the person takes, things of that nature, the movement, is that on the phone or would that be on the watch?
That's on both the watch and the phone.
Okay. Now, if you have an Apple Watch and you test it or you examine it, would you be able to determine what information was actually recorded by the watch while the person was wearing it?
Yes, the information that's recorded within the Apple Health database does specify whether the information comes from the watch, the phone, or from a different device.
Okay. And in this case, if I understand correctly, the Apple Watch stopped recording data at, is it 5:23?
It was around that time.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to give you your report. Feel free to just refresh your memory or look at it or whatever helps you out.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I just want to get the times down. I think you indicated that the watch stopped recording information at 5:23 p.m.
Yes, the last heart rate was 5:23:52.
52, okay. 5:23 and 52 seconds. And then I believe the phone and watch stopped recording at 5:38, was it?
The last usage of the, let me double check this. I believe the last usage of the phone to record flight climb data was at 5:38, yes.
All right, and after 5:38, it's pretty much blackout. There's no further information or recording, right?
Yes, not until like the phone was seized by police, I believe.
By the
But
police.
there's other activity, but appeared to be after the incident.
So the further activity would have been the following morning on the 25th of January, say around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning?
I ended my analysis on the 24th.
Okay. Well, so 5:23 p.m., the watch stops recording information. 5:38 p.m., both the watch and the phone stopped recording any information until the police picked up the phone apparently the following day, right?
Again, there would have been activity later on, but it wasn't usage, it wasn't health data. It would have been things like incoming calls. If
Okay,
there
so
were any.
when you went through the stair climbing and talked about the steps that were taken, the distance that was taken, that stopped at 5:38 p.m., right?
Correct.
Now, you don't know, when I say you, I mean there's a witness, but also the police, what whoever was wearing the watch, for example, if Lindsay's wearing the watch or carrying the phone after 5:38, you don't know what was happening at 5:39.
Correct.
You don't know what was happening at 5:40, 5:45, right?
Correct.
Right up till 5:58, 6 o'clock p.m., right?
Purely the data on the device.
So it could have been, the phone could have been put down, the watch could have been put down, battery died, whatever those issues could be, and the person would still be going down the stairs, going up the stairs, going in the backyard, doing push-ups, whatever.
Correct.
You just don't know, right?
Yes.
One of the things, you're familiar with the concept of location data, right?
Correct.
And location data, one of the things you looked at or you're aware of would be from Lindsay's phone on August 23rd of 2022. Is that correct?
Apologies. August 23rd, 2022?
Yeah.
I didn't go back
Okay.
anywhere near that date.
You have tested and written blogs, though, on location information, right?
Correct.
You actually testified in the case of Commonwealth versus Victor Arrington in Suffolk Superior Court in Boston in support of the accuracy of this particular artifact or information, right?
Correct.
So you're a true believer that the phone does in fact record accurately significant locations on the iPhone, right?
It certainly can, yes.
All right. And are you aware, or if I was to approach you in your expertise, it's just a doctor. That's all. You were talking earlier about latitude, longitude, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just to, you're familiar with, for example, significant location visits on Lindsay's phone, August 23rd, 2022 at 9:34. Do you know what that says or what that means?
The created time
Yeah.
of 9:34. That'd be when the device decided that the device had visited this location enough to consider it a visit.
Okay. Do you know what that location is? If I suggest to you it's a doctor's office, would you be aware of that?
I don't recognize it from the coordinates.
Okay. Thank you. This here you're familiar with too as well, right? The geo data with the latitude and the longitude?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the fact that you can take the metadata off of the information on the cell phone, one of which would be latitude and longitude. You'd be able to determine, for example, that this would be the Lindsay Clancy home, correct?
Yes, correct.
You've seen this before, right?
It rings a bell, yes.
Okay. I'd offer this, Joe.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you.
267.
All right, thank you.
Now, you have your report in front of you, right?
Yes.
And that's captioned Digital Forensic Report, and it's in evidence, so the jurors are going to be able to review it in its entirety, right?
Yes.
If I could direct your attention to page 11, I believe. Yeah, page 11. Okay.
Yes.
And just so the jurors are able to acclimate themselves to it, that would be this item here that you went through with the district attorney, right? As far as the searches, Google searches.
I have a different page 11.
Different page?
That looks like this page 12.
Oh, okay. Well, let me approach you with what is your digital forensic report number 1?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is this the same?
So this is a revision.
A revision?
The revision submitted in February that just had a different record highlighted.
Yeah, okay, so basically there's no big deal difference, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we can go by, you have the revised and I have the old. Can you look at January 10th on the Google search, for example?
I can.
You have it?
Yes, sir.
So looking at January 10th of 2023, just read along with me, and the jurors again would be able to look at this in the jury room. Prescription information at it says 14:55. What does that mean? 12:14 in the morning?
14 a.m. Yes.
All right, and then 19:11, which would be at 7:11 in the morning.
7:11 p.m.
Oh, PM. Okay. Trazodone and Benadryl goes on about an hour later. Trazodone headache, Google search goes on. Trazodone and ibuprofen goes on. Trazodone and Tylenol goes on to 2032, which would be 8:32 p.m. Trazodone and Tylenol interactions, right?
Correct.
Fair to say that these are things that Lindsay Googled on her cell phone. That's what this document refers to, right?
Somebody used the cell phone to Google it, yes.
Oh, you don't know who was actually using it, but this is Lindsay's cell phone.
Yes.
You're aware of that. If we jump ahead, looking at all of these various Google searches, follow with me on, let's say, randomly, page 13, 1948, which would be 17:48 p.m., I guess. You with me on that?
Yes, 1948.
Yeah.
Yes.
How quickly does Wellbutrin work for depression? That's what was Googled, right?
Correct.
Followed by Lamictal for depression, Elavil for depression, how to tell if you're sleep deprived, ketamine for suicidal ideation, right?
Correct.
These are all searches that were done on Lindsay's cell phone. On that particular date, chronologically, would have been the 12th of January, right?
Correct.
Now, without boring everybody, it goes on and on and on with searches along those lines: suicidal ideation, drugs, trazodone, mixtures, things of that nature, right?
It does.
Page 17, if you have it, would be the Apple Note counsel asked you about.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I suggest to you, sir, that this is the Apple Note, I believe a previous witness may have read this to the jury, so they will have this in the room to read. But basically, this is the note that says, I was the healthiest, happiest mom. I worked out every morning, meditated, took care of myself, and basically my life has turned to crap, right?
Correct.
So what was modified in this? If you know, because counsel asked you if there was modifications and things of that nature, and I'm just asking if you know what was modified in it.
Exactly at the moment, I don't have all of that in front of me. It's possible to see snippets going back over time. I do recall on the 22nd of December when this was created, it started with the same sentence.
Yep.
And there was a few essentially spelling differences as time went on. But as much as you can recover from the earlier versions of the note, it's a snippet. It's essentially two sentences, basically, and the rest of it is it's essentially the same note.
Okay, thank you, sir. Going forward onto page 18, page 19, and 20, would you agree with me that, well, actually, in 21, they basically contain photographs that were sent from Lindsay's phone to, it looks like Patrick's phone. Would you agree with that?
I believe the first few pages are sent to Mommy.
Okay. And this basically is the, there we go. This is the snowman in the backyard being made, right?
Correct.
And then Lindsay's phone is sending the blue.
Yes, the blue messages are outgoing.
The response?
Yes.
And can you tell me what the response is?
The one on screen at the moment is the response sent from Mommy to Lindsay's phone saying that's a big roll of snow. I was wondering if you got enough for the kids to play in, and it's a pretty nice day too. Gives them something to do on a day without school.
Okay. And then your report then goes on with additional photographs of the snowmen, there's a box of Cheerios apparently, and then there's a photograph of a young boy appearing to be very exuberant with his arms up in the air. And then there's the Lindsay phone responds with a picture of a little girl with a mask on, right?
Correct. And this is a conversation with Patrick.
Patrick, okay. So are you able to tell what Patrick said, if anything, when he sent the picture of the little boy with his arms up in the air?
So at the very top of that message above the photograph, it says, got himself dressed. And that would be the message that was sent alongside the photograph.
Okay. And then what was her response?
Initially, it was just the photograph.
Did she respond any further in your report or your research?
Sorry?
Did you see any response in your research of the phone?
I don't remember seeing any response.
All right. Can you look at page 22?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be on January 24th, 2023. And it looks, what time is that? 8:19 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. I suggest to you, sir, you can even look in your report. This is in the same thread with the little girl making the snowman and the text about it looks like a nice day, hoping you got snow, things of that nature. And there was a reference by the mother or mommy to get the hot chocolate ready, things of that nature, right?
The message at 8:19 a.m. that says cutie was sent by Patrick in a different thread to the snowman photographs.
Okay, but I'm asking you about the one that's underneath the snowman and the mummy text. The last commentary is get the hot chocolate ready.
Oh, yes, that's the one from...
And that's from the mother, apparently, right?
Correct.
Or someone that is in the phone as mummy, right?
And that was at 11:33 a.m.
Now, if you look on page 22, we can get to what you were talking about. It looks like January 24th at 8:19 in the morning. cell phone number 781-375-8564. And what does that say?
Cutie.
And that, so just tell us, so is that Patrick's phone?
Yes, that would be the phone stored as Patrick sending a message to Lindsay's phone.
And how did Lindsay respond, or how did her phone respond?
It appears that Lindsay reacted to an image with the love emoji.
Like a little heart thing?
Yes.
And then what did Patrick say?
Patrick asked, how's it going?
What did she say?
Good.
And then did she say anything further?
Yet she also responded, okay, her urine looked good, so nothing going wrong with her kidneys. A few.
So that she indicates that her urine looked good, nothing going on with her kidneys, and then phew, like whew, you know, something like that, right?
That's how I read it.
P-H-E-W? Yeah.
Yes.
And then he said good, right?
Yes.
And then as you go forward, there's more pictures of the kids with the snowman, making the snowman. Patrick then says to her at 11, looks like 11:29, am I reading that right, in the morning?
11:29.
What does he say to her?
You're a good mama.
And does she respond?
She responds with an emoji, which is the face covered in hearts.
The face with the hearts? And then they go back and forth with each other up until getting the menu and asking what you want for takeout and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
Page 25, just in case you were looking. All right. Can you look at page 28 for me? And page 29, I can hold them up. Basically, they basically are just a continuation of photographs, little thumbnails of the kids doing snowman and sitting in the doctor's office, right?
Correct.
Okay. One of the things that you did is that you actually performed a comprehensive search. Is that a full focus extraction? Is that what you call it?
Full file system extraction.
Okay. And you did that for the phone belonging to Lindsay Clancy, right?
Correct.
That would be what you refer to as your appendix?
The appendix 1 of the Lindsay Clancy phone is 1,300 and some web search visits.
Okay. So I'm going to hand you what says report number 1, iPhone belonging to Lindsay Clancy, and ask if you can recognize that.
Yes, this appears to be the just the web history from Lindsay's phone.
Okay, so that's pretty much if anybody cares to look at it, that's the entire web history, right?
Correct.
All right, I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Any objection? All right, that may be admitted.
268.
Then, Mr. Whiffen, you also had report number 4, which would be the digital report for Patrick Clancy's
I did.
computer. I'd offer that, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted as well.
269.
All right,
And
thank
then
you.
finally, report number 5 says Surface Pro laptop belonging to Patrick Clancy.
Yes.
So this would be your search of his laptop as well, correct?
Correct.
I'd offer this.
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
207.
Approaching you with an item, sir, I'm just going to. Well, I'm just going to ask it. I'm not going to. No problem. This says extraction report, Apple iPhone. You recognize that?
Yes, I didn't create it, but I recognize the report.
Okay, so that is a Celebrate report of the extraction of Lindsay's phone, correct? Yeah, you can look at whatever you want, yeah, of course.
Yes, this is a report generated by Physical Analyzer, a Celebrate tool of the device.
Okay. Now, if you look at the report, for example, just randomly on page, let's say, 9, bottom line, it says web history. I just grabbed that random. January 24th, 23, correct?
Yes.
And then you go to the right, and it says Lindsay's iPhone mobile library.
Yes.
Okay. And then it has the time that it was recorded, right?
Yes.
And what time would that be on that date, which is January 24th?
It would be 9:35 local time in the morning.
So if you jump ahead to January 25, 2023, let's say, is that 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. And that says, what is it measuring at 7 o'clock in the morning on January 25?
So this is for the hour of health data. So it's been aggregated and it shows that between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. There was 47 meters traveled.
Okay. And then it goes on and it talks about, again, 7 o'clock in some seconds, it talks about 134 distance traveled.
Yes.
Okay. And for example, January 25 at 8 o'clock in the morning, it talks about distance traveled, steps counted, and distance would be 47
Yes.
meters or feet.
Meters.
Okay. So is that information that is coming off of the cell phone, the Apple Watch, or what?
That's coming from the watch and the phone and being displayed
Right,
as
so
one amount of information.
It's coming from the watch, right?
The way that the data is presented there is coming from the watch or the phone.
Okay. And the data's coming from Celebrate, right?
Correct.
Celebrate is God's gift to cell phone searches, right?
I like to think so.
I mean, you work for them, and you're also a guy that created all of this stuff, pretty much, right?
I've created some other tools, yes.
If I tell you, sir, that January 25 at 8 o'clock in the morning, Lindsay Clancy was in a coma, laying in a bed with tubes coming out of her body and certainly not wearing her Apple Watch. How did that happen?
Based purely on the report there, I'd suggest the data came from the phone rather than the watch.
As I just told you about the watch. Did you ever look at this watch?
No, we can't actually pull data directly from the watch. We pull it from the phone.
How do you look at a watch?
We extract the data from the phone, which is synchronized to the from the watch to the phone.
Okay, so I'm handing you, is that an Apple Watch?
It appears to be, yes.
Okay. And if I suggest to you that this was found a number of days later in Lindsay's bedroom in a drawer that the police never seized, have you ever seen this before?
I've never seen this before, no.
How long have you been working on this case for the government?
I started looking at this case in November last year.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
Hey, Bob, please rest.
All right, redirect.
Thank you. Sir, from the documents that defense counsel just showed you, the activity on January 25th, was it your testimony that it could have been from the watch or the phone?
It could have been either device.
What he showed you, did that have enough data on it to tell you specifically whether it was from the watch or the phone?
No, I'd need to take a look at the database itself and see where that information came from.
And you were saying that you cannot pull data from the watch itself, is that correct?
Correct. We don't extract the memory from the watch itself. We extract data from the phone, which is synchronized to the watch. So we ultimately get the watch data from the phone.
And why is it that you don't pull it from the watch itself?
Apple's proprietary connections, the encryption that they use on the device complicates extraction. And essentially, considering we get everything from the watch via the phone, it's just additional work required to pull data from the watch, which would just be a duplicate of what we already have.
And you said that the watch syncs itself to the phone, relaying all data that it's collecting to the phone, correct?
Correct.
And Lindsay's watch was synced to Lindsay's phone, correct?
It was.
And if you were able to look at the data from the dates defense counsel mentioned from the extraction itself, you would be able to tell whether the January 25th data was coming from the watch or the phone, correct?
I would, yes.
But you can't from what he showed you, correct?
From the printout, no. I'd need the actual data.
And if on January 25th, the police have the phone, and they're bringing it to an evidence room, and then they're bringing it to storage room, is that going to show steps and distance traveled?
Yeah, whenever the device is turned on, or whenever the phone is turned on, it will consistently record steps walked regardless of who's carrying it. It will consistently record flights climbed regardless of who's carrying it.
And so if the watch is turned off in a drawer somewhere, the phone would be what's relaying, or not relaying, but the phone would be what's recording the distance traveled and the steps taken, not the watch, correct?
That's the presumption, yeah. If the watch is turned off, it's not doing anything. Any data would be from the phone.
And earlier, Defense Counsel just put in some exhibits of your indexes for all the data that you looked at for the phone and the computers, correct?
Correct.
And those indexes, do they contain everything that was on the phone and everything that was on each computer that could be pulled from the phone or the computer?
No, they were focused reports or focused searches. So for my reports, they were focused to essentially the internet history on those devices. The large Cellbrite report, again, I don't know who created that. I don't know what options were selected by that user, but there will be data on the device which is not covered in that report by virtue of that's how decoding works.
And on the Defense Counsel asked you about the flights climbed and how the last reading was at 5:38 p.m., correct?
Correct.
The last incoming phone call that you registered on your charts was the 6:09 p.m. phone call from Patrick to Lindsay that she did not answer, correct?
Correct.
From 5:38 p.m. to 6:09 p.m., were there any other flights climbed showing from either the watch or the phone?
Don't believe there was, no.
And Your Honor, we'd move to submit the full extraction as the next exhibit. It's being copied now, so we just put a disk envelope in its place.
Yeah, no objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
If I may, Your Honor. So you make reference to 5:38 for her question that there's no flights climbed, recorded, or anything up until 6 o'clock, right? You just answered that question.
Correct.
That's because the phone was either dead, off. We already went through that. She could have been walking all over the house, the yard, anywhere, right?
Yeah, the phone did not detect anything. I don't know why the phone didn't detect anything, whether it was...
So your answer is you don't know what, I don't mean to be rude. Your answer is you don't know why, right?
Exactly. I don't know why it wouldn't record.
And you did not report at all on the steps and distances, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay, thank you.
Anything on that, Como?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. You may sit down. Thank you.
Come on, Fress.
All
right. Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you.
Your Honor. There are some exhibits. My mistake. I believe they're by agreement.
Yeah, they were by agreement.
All right.
And then we would rest.
All right.
We have the 2 Sperry Hospital records, 2 discs. 272A, B. Mass General Institute Health Professions transcript. Put a PIAC transcript.
What was that?
Put a PIAC transcript. 74. And then employment records from Mass General Hospital. 275. We rest.
All right, and with that, the Commonwealth rests? All right. All right, so members of the jury, as you heard from Attorney Sprague, the Commonwealth has rested. All right, so at this point, I've got to address some matters with the attorneys. So I'm going to, it's another one of those stops. We're going to take a stop at this point. Have you go back to the jury room. We'll address a few things with the attorneys, and then we'll bring you right back in. Okay?
All rise, please, jurors. Thanks.
My goodness. Incoming Popeyes. So let's see what they say. Yeah, they rested. So the Commonwealth has rested.
Jurors have exited the courtroom. This court's in session. Please be seated.
Before we do the motion for required finding, Your Honor, is this a good time to take a morning break?
Sure, do you want to take a short break?
Looking something up, that's all. I
All right.
apologize.
So the court will be in a short recess and we'll come back without the jury. We'll address the motion and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, thank you.
Court, all rise.
All right. Oh, yeah. Now I need to go take my little break. I need to use the bathroom and stuff. So I'm going to leave the court running, but I'll just turn my camera off and I'll be back in a minute. Everybody celebrate that the state has rested. Oh, my goodness. I'm curious. I can't wait to see the first one. So now things are getting juicy up in here now. Like you said, I'll be right back. Incoming ball voice. Incoming ball voice. Psh. Oh, heavens. Okay, I'm back. Oh, let me catch my breath. There was a lot going on down there. I made a quick little bite to eat. I've got it right here. I might turn the camera off while I eat. And checked out the whatchamacallit, the front door where they painted. And that's it. And I was like, oh, I've been down there so long. Surely the defense is already calling their first witness. Yeah. Silly Paul. I am eating 2 turkey burgers and a cup of brown rice. Oh, sorry. I meant to mute before I drank. Sorry, y'all. I meal prepped like a whole big thing of turkey, ground turkey. And so I just have a big Ziploc bag full of like little, they're this size. So it's nothing fancy. With some Worcestershire sauce on them. And it's just nice and filling. Okay, nice and filling. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Nice and filling. Yeah, I feel like the whole Brenda asked, like, what about the watch? Like, why are they making a deal out of that? I'm not, maybe to discredit him somewhat, because I felt like, I'm not sure if I'm open to like what y'all have to say. I felt like definitely the Commonwealth was definitely trying to slide the thing in about her researching, which wasn't the phone or whatever, postpartum symptoms, stuff like that, right? But then the movement of it, because it's essentially showing, number one, that when her, and now let me get this correct, y'all, because I just had it over here when it was going in the moment. When Patrick called her, she was at home with her stuff. Number one. And then what was it too with the timing of it, where when he called, she had already killed the kids. Now with Reddington up there being like, well, have you seen this and have you seen that and blah 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 blah. I'm not sure. Like I don't I don't know what he was trying to do on his cross. Like, well, here's this watch, this was in the thing and nobody collected it. I'm not sure why that's a real big thing to him. If y'all know, let me know. Because to me, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe other than just showing that the cops didn't do a good, like not investigation, but like searching the house or something. So we'll see. But I mean, it's done now. So again, a weird witness. Yeah. And I do think that part of it could be where the state and them maybe were trying to show that he, that the watch was indeed at the house. You see what I'm saying? Because of what you're talking about, Gene Doe. So, but I don't know. I think there was a little bit of a vibe there, but also because the state is so floundery with their stuff, it's almost like they probably had multiple points to prove with it. The biggest thing for me, if I'm looking at like what benefited the state from this, was them showing, she was researching postpartum psychosis, right? Like she was looking up the symptoms. She was already making her story up. See where I'm going with that? I would have literally contained that to that right there and some of those other searches and been like, no more questions for him. So, yeah, that's a pert way to say it. The cozy constellation says the state can't connect the dots. That's exactly the right way to say it. The state is not connecting the dots for the story they're trying to sell, right? Wampo says, I shower and shave my legs. They're still long break. I mean, my God, I went downstairs, I warmed my food up, checked out the thing, talked to Matt, did all this. I was like, surely they're back by now. Nope, still going, still on break. Anybody want to place bets that they don't have court this afternoon? What time do they go to lunch? 1? Let's pretend that they start back at, say, 12, and they have their little argument without the jury. I could see them being like, we'll start fresh tomorrow. It's been a really long day. We're tired. Now, I've never been to Massachusetts. I've never been to, Boston, and none of that up there. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know the normal mode of transportation to get to this courthouse for these jury members, but I'm like, it can't be convenient. Okay. I'm imagining major city vibes. I'm imagining all this. So I'm just like, you're telling me this poor jury is like loading up, getting downtown to wherever this courthouse is, doing all the things that you have to do, and then getting in there and they're like, well, we're going to work for about 2 hours and we're going to leave. If they don't have court this afternoon, we're going to scoop. We'll scoop in Olive Garden. We'll scoop, Scooby Doop. Scooby Dooby Dooby Doop. I'm not sure which one this is. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a short day in court. Dabs? Right. I swear. That. I was thinking about that earlier. When was it? Like yesterday or something? I don't know. Where like whenever I'm reading her text messages, we're talking about Mackenzie Schiller right now. Whenever I'm reading her text messages, I feel like that whenever I do the whole thing where I might be angry one second, then like, please don't call me. I feel like that's literally how it is in her mind. Like that's how her brain works. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, because that's how they read. It's like 1 minute she's really like, oh, Dom, what about this? And then she's like, call me right now. Where are you? Answer the phone. Thank you, Emily. You're so sweet. Hold on one second. Thank you, Kelly the kitty. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Dom, call me. Call me right now. Take me off D&D. You left me on red. I mean, it's been so eye-opening reading those. So eye-opening. We know what he went through now. The phone call that I recorded yesterday. Oh, wait, speaking of, I gotta upload that. That's not even a thing. Okay. Hold on. Like it was 2 phone calls, and the first one, it was like her mom saying that NBC. She's like, NBC reached out to me, and then Mackenzie's like, of course she's excited, and then she's like, is that national? And I was like, it's NBC. But then I was like, well, Paul, younger people might not like look at news like TV stations the way that I did, because like when I was young, you only had these major networks, right? Like there is now, it's like there's tons of stuff. So I was like, maybe she doesn't know who NBC is. Oh, thanks, Cher Bear, for being a member for 14 months. That's such an honor. But she was like all excited about NBC, and then talking about these dudes that have been texting her and hitting her up and stuff. And then the second phone call was like early in the morning, like it was the morning. And both her and her mom were just so boring the whole time. It was just like a couple of things happened or whatever, but it was just like, oh, they're not fun in the morning. They haven't had time to get all turned up. So it was pretty interesting. Sorry, y'all. I had to eat. I was so hungry. Even though I had a little snack earlier, Doing the leg stuff at physical therapy, it makes me hungry. It gets my metabolism going. The McMuffin sounds good. The boys are going to be barking all day long now that we've had a visitor. And the door has to stay cracked open while it dries. Oh, hey, Aaron, thanks. So the Sofa Squad song I still am going to use. I haven't been using it a lot right now just because of the, how do you say it? The context of the trial, this, like this or whatever. So that's a huge reason why. So we'll bring it back every now and then kind of a thing. Like when the case calls for it, I guess you could say. But it's, I mean, I still have it. I still plan on using it, but just not like every single time. Oh, hey, Katie Cat. And thank you, Aaron. So now also, y'all, like I said, those other court cases are going on, their trials are going on. Well, Tupac starts here in a little bit. And the Mario one is already opening statements are taking place. So that won't be more short and sweet. You know, I'll say this also. It's been interesting too, seeing a complicated a case like this that we're covering with Lindsay, right? Versus the normal, and I'm not trying to minimize this when I say like the run of the mill cases that we follow, but in comparison to this, where it's like usually there's like a clear motive, a clear this, a clear that. And here it's very cumbersome. It's, you know, you're dealing with mental health stuff, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that, lots of doctors. And so it's just more layered and complicated, other than, you know, take one spouse who doesn't want to be in said situation and wants money and does the unthinkable, and here's how they did it, and it's usually an asinine way of going about it, right? So it's almost like oh, okay, we can deal with this, almost like absurdity, right? Most of the trials we follow, there's an element of absurdity. Now, also, there's the horridness of the people who lose their lives and how they did it and what happened. Um, oh, thank you, Kelly. Can't you please sing part? All right, you know, I'll bust out here. I'll bust out my microphone. Um, Looking at the people going to that Las Vegas again, right? Oh yeah, it's gonna be packed over there, y'all. It's gonna be packed in Vegas for sure. But there's a level of absurdity, and really, there's not any. I mean, I would say the most absurd thing about this so far has been how the trial's been played out, you know. But there's not like a absurd, like a Sarah Boone absurdity, um, that type thing or whatever, or you know, Courtney Clinny interrogation video absurdity, things of this nature. Hold on one second. Let me tell you what. I could go down and get 2 more hamburgers. I'm so hungry today. I don't know why. Yeah, Eileen says Corey Richards and Lindsay Clancy are opposite ends of the crime scale. Exactly, right? I mean, the whole thing. It's just completely different, you know. Emily says, "You're probably hungry from the pool party you didn't scoop us up for," right? Literally. Okay, sorry. Thank y'all for letting me eat that. I was starving. Yeah, Tenbay says, watch Diane Downs and then watch Lindsay Clancy, different breeds. 100%. 100%. Oh, I know, right? Wait, what is this? You remember the last thing that we were doing with Mackenzie, where she kept going on and on and on about, you broke your promise. Why did you do that to me? You broke your promise. I would love to have seen the look on his face when he was getting those text messages, because they were so out in left field. It's like, where was she coming up? Like the pivot that she would do in every single interaction to paint things to be whatever she was trying to manipulate it to. It was such a far jump that it was like, even in the world of gaslighting and manipulation, it was extreme, right? Because it was, the other thing too is like, you could easily just scroll back and prove her wrong and be like, we know I said this, but in her world, she interpreted. I mean, that's how everybody is. I guess they interpret things how they want to. But it was wild to read those. Oh, you used to have a kitty cat named Paul. That's cute. Secret life. Judge is out there getting that PPP pizza. He's getting that personal pizza. Like, you know that movie Naked Gun? So like, imagine if you apply, and there's a couple of things that I've seen that have done this before. You apply that type of humor to a courtroom. I'm not saying the Lindsay Clancy one, but like Sarah Boone, that was almost the real life version of that, right? Like that kind of absurdity is what I'm talking about, where it's like, some of these cases we watch, you feel like you're watching a real life version of Naked Gun. Yeah, Naked Gun 33 and 1/3. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're watching that play out where you're like, this is like the real, like these people can't be this stupid, but it's like they are. Is it Brian Walsh? Not Brian Walsh. Who was the other one, y'all? That like did the 20-point turn at the ABC store at 3 a.m. and then threw evidence away in it. Was that Brian Walsh? Like, he was like absurd in the way of like doing the dumbest stuff, if that's who I'm thinking of. I think it was Brian Walsh. It was him, where it was just like, this is like an episode of Naked Gun, where it's like, what, and like, who would even think to do this? But it was so morbid what he did. I don't know. It's wild to me. But he guilty. Yes. Yeah, the liquor store thing where he was doing that, but honestly, that would be me too, y'all. Yeah, I would get like, literally, I make fun of them like that. That would 100% be me. Like, you would know instantly if I ended up killing somebody, because it would be the next thing where they'd be like, yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, he thought he was at a Home Depot at 3 a.m. Disposing of the stuff, but it was actually the local police department, and he was doing like this 50-point turn, and then the cops finally came out. And they're like, what are you throwing stuff away in the garbage? And then they instantly called him. Like, that would 100% be me. I'd be so stupid about it, right? Yeah. The other thing with Brian was like when he was like letting the person the checkout help him buy the murder kit, right? It was like, you gotta be kidding. It was so crazy. Like, everything about that. Hey, everybody just joining. So for those who are just joining, the court's on break. We don't know when they're coming back. This is their second morning break. So be on the lookout. But while we're waiting here, if you don't mind giving the live chat a like, it helps us out with the algorithm, I would appreciate it. We also have the best mods in the world here, I do like to say myself. And we also have a wonderful little mod squad support team, if you so desire. Hold on 1 second. Did I do it right? Let me see. Hold on, my screen's catching up. There we go. If you want to support our mods, we love them. They're the best. We also have mod love hearts in here. They ordered Hardee's breakfast at 10:29, and I have to argue that it technically counts. Right. Yeah, Hardee's reissued the California raisins, and the judge and like in Reddington are fighting over who gets the last one or something. Yeah, Joe says Paul would definitely stop at McDonald's when doing a crime. Yeah, so like the way they would catch me, like, so if it was my murder trial and I was a defendant, there would 100% be footage of me going through McDonald's and being asked to pull up. But it would be like, they'd be like, well, yeah, it was weird. He actually had the body tied to the top of his car and he decided to go to McDonald's and he ordered the double quarter pounder, and evidence shows that he already knew they would make him pull up. He didn't think that anybody would ask about the dead body on the top of his car. We think he just forgot about it. He was apprehended shortly thereafter. They just let him sit in the parking space, and because he didn't think anything was different, waiting 40. Y'all, I almost wanted to text y'all. Y'all, the other day, it was not McDonald's. I'm actually shocked where this happened. Okay. We're going to go on a little story time. So Matt and I went out, and I was supposed to be going out with some friends to movies and stuff like that. And Matt was like, well, I want to get something to eat, like a drive-thru or whatever. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I want Culver's. Now, we've only really ever been to the Culver's over in Cary near Raleigh. And I don't know if you know what Culver's is, but the vibe of Culver's is you pull up to the window and it's just a thing where they give you this number and say, pull all the way up to the white line. And then a person runs it out to you. It almost feels kind of old fashioned. Okay. But that's just the vibe. And the one we've always gone to, like the line, it's always busy. So we go to this Culver's and I don't get anything. And Matt orders like a regular meal and then like a concrete blizzard thing, which those always work. And the person's like, okay, just pull. They hand us a little thing, it's a little Post-it thing with a window. And they're like, okay, pull all the way up to the white line. Well, this Culver's was like, okay, so pretend like here's the window right here. This is the drive-thru window. Here's us. And then you go like this and the thing stops here. Well, there's no door out this side or anything like that, but it's clear like this is all the way up. Okay, y'all. So we're sitting and 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 we're talking. And then like, where you're like, wait a minute, we've been here for a while. Mind you, I want to say at minimum we were there for 15 minutes. Not a single soul pulled up behind us. We were the only person in the drive-thru line this whole time. Okay. And I'm telling Matt, I'm like, you're going to have to go in. I'm like, they have forgot. I was like, I've never waited at a Culver's, let alone even probably a McDonald's like this. I was like, and it was it closed. Can you imagine if they did? Well, you're seeing people go in and stuff. And I'm telling Matt, I'm like, you're going to have to go in. You're going to have to go in. I'm like, whatever. So finally he hops out, goes in. Yeah, I want to say maybe like more than 5 minutes, less than 10, he comes back out with a bag. And he was like, oh, it was a bad side in there. And he was like, I go in and I get to the thing, and it basically is like, I've been waiting in the drive-thru, and the one person was like, oh, like you could tell it was like, oh. And then they were like, well, she was going to bring it out to you. And he's like, there's one person at the drive-thru and then like one person at the register. And he's like, I think the person at the register was going to bring it out to me, but her line's out the door. So it was almost like, well, your bag's just going to sit here until one of us can bring it out to you. And I'm like, oh, yes. I was like, okay. So mental note, we're never going to that Culver's again. He was like, it was all sorts of broken in there. He was like, it wasn't. It's not like the Culver's back home. But I was like, I told him, I said, I rarely will go through a drive-thru these days. I will park. Usually if I'm going through a drive-thru though, it's because I'm traveling, right? And so I will park and then I will go in and get the food because I'm like, it's just the drive-thrus. Cannot do it because of that very reason. Oh yeah, I would love to do another Chandler Halderson recap again. Yeah, Singer David with the stuff that he ordered on Amazon is insane. That's what I'm talking about. That level of absurdity. It's just like, why would you order? But see, I see the convenience of ordering the kill court to your front door, right? And for people like him too, you know that people who live in bubbles like that, like these famous people, are so used to people just cleaning up after them and getting away with stuff that it's like they don't live in reality, right? So it's like he probably thought like, oh, just get this, whatever, you know. And I'm like, dude, this is worse than going to the self checkout with a credit card at Walmart. I mean, there's multiple witnesses now. They came to your doorstep. You can't even try and play it off and be like, that wasn't me. How do you know that was me? That person has a mask on. It's like, because it was your house and you answered the door. You're on your Ring camera. Oh, well, okay. I didn't know that. I said, please hold. Doo-dun-doo-dun-dun. Do-dun-doo-dun. I said, bleed hold. Do-do-do-do-do. I said, if I do drive-through, I customize my order in multiple ways to make sure I get fresh stuff, even if I have to wait. Oh no, see, I see the thinking behind that, and that is good. I get too panicky that I then have to go in. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like they're gonna forget it. I have to go in, and what's that gonna be like? And oh my goodness, I'm like, I'd rather just go in. But now, okay, it's like, and I don't know how all these places are. I don't think Chick-fil-A does it. McDonald's does the thing where you can go in and order from the kiosk thing, and then they just produce the food. I don't know how Wendy's works inside. Zaxby's, I've been in semi recently, and I think you can do the same. Some of them you can just do a kiosk thing. I don't know. But yeah, for everybody just joining, we're of course always talking about food here, right? But the state has rested. They are on their umpteenth break for the day, and yeah, it would not surprise me for them to come back and have this hearing and be like, okay, we're going to go to lunch. I'm almost putting money on it that the judge is going to say we're going to take the rest of the day off and just start fresh tomorrow. They're going to be like, what would you do if they came back and the defense said we rest? Which was no way it's going to happen, but I'd be like, what? Huh? Yeah, they went to lunch and forgot us. Here they go.
All right. So the Commonwealth having rested, Mr. Reddington, does the defendant have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I passed it up to the court. I don't know if you have it in front of you. It's basically a Rule 25. It doesn't have any memoranda with it, but I would argue, and I would cite to the court the case that was decided of Commonwealth versus Brunette Silvera. It's BRUNETTE-SELVEIRA. It was decided towards the end of May of 26 by the appeals court in Massachusetts. It was a case out of the Boston Municipal Court where defendant was charged with assault and battery on a police officer. The evidence was presented that the defendant was acting erratically and that there was an awful lot of evidence that indicated that, brought out on cross-examination from witnesses, that the defendant was suffering from some type of a mental illness. Based on that evidence being presented, the government rested their case just as they've done here. My suggestion to the court is that the evidence that's been presented on this case against Ms. Clancy I would suggest does not rise to the level under Rule 25 of where even if you take the Lattimore standard and determine that the evidence would be decided in the light most favorable to the government at this stage of the case, I think the Brunette Silvera case places, as they describe it, a negative obligation to prove a negative as part of their case in chief on the government. I suggest to Your Honor that the evidence that has been presented in this case is overwhelming, that this young woman was clearly and unequivocally suffering from a mental disease or defect, that it was occupying her waking hours, her life, that she considered all of her avenues. She attempted to go to these healthcare providers, using the term loosely, that she went to these people. She had medication after medication after medication. She was obviously acting, I suggest to the court, in a in a state that was observed by witnesses that, in fact, that she was suffering from mental disease, a defect, and then ultimately this horrific incident. So under that Burnett-Silvera case, there's no evidence, I suggest, from the government that would rebut the fact that there is evidence of lack of criminal responsibility. So under Burnett-Silvera and the cases that were cited in that opinion, respectfully, I would suggest that a required finding of not guilty should be entered on the case. I also would argue to the court that I think that under the Burnett-Silvera standard and the evidence that Your Honor has before you, that the matter should be reduced down, if you will, from premeditated malice of forethought, cruelty, and atrocity to second degree. I'm not arguing at this stage Commonwealth versus Gray or any of its progeny as to manslaughter, but I think the court, certainly in its wise exercise of discretion, has the ability and the right to reduce the charge to second degree murder or enter a required finding.
All right, counsel, thank you. Come on.
Thank you, Your Honor. The case that defense counsel cited, there was a presentation of the Commonwealth's evidence. Commonwealth rested. Defense called an expert who said that the defendant was not criminally responsible, and the Commonwealth relied on a cross-examination of that witness and did not call any further witnesses. So the motion was filed for a required finding at the close of all of the evidence, which is what's required under Commonwealth versus Lawson, which Burnett-Silva cites and is still good law. An SJC case, 475 Mass 806 from 2016, in which the court says that a motion for required finding of not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility may only be brought at the close of all of the evidence, not at the close of the Commonwealth's case. In this case, as you're aware, defense plans on presenting experts who testified that the defendant was not criminally responsible, and then the Commonwealth will have a rebuttal case with their own experts. So I think the time and place for the motion would be at the close of all of the evidence and not now.
All right. Well, I had an opportunity to take a look at Burnett-Silvera. So based on that and based on the standard as described that I have to apply at this point, I'm going to deny the defendant's motion.
I don't think I have to object, but I will.
All right. As we say, duly noted.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Your Honor, could I inquire? Emily Thorndike is here and has been here. I'm just wondering, is the government ready for us to do the voir dire to see if she can testify? Because she is self-employed, she has patients and has canceled them day after day. I'm just inquiring if we're ready to go on that.
All right. So the question I think that we had put this over was in large part because of the records from McLean's. We know if those are in?
I've been inquiring with Madam Clerk if there's been any status from the clerk's office, and I've told they haven't received anything. We have a call over to McLean. They've acknowledged the receipt. They were waiting for a call back from somebody at the office. They thought that the records were produced on Friday, but clearly that wasn't the case. So we have a call. We're waiting for a return call. I've provided people in my office the Madam Clerk's email address to get it expedited as quick as possible. So we are working to try to resolve the issue, and the hospital has acknowledged they received the subpoena. We just don't have a response yet. And I would just also remind that we discussed this last week and talked about doing this tomorrow on Tuesday in order to get those records and have time for everybody to get them and review them so that a proper examination of the witness can be done in a voir dire.
So,
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's do this before we start going at each other. We'll see if the records come in. All right. The records come in, then we got to determine how long it takes for people to review it and get ready. So if we can do that this afternoon,
okay, great.
All right. If we can't, I'll hear from the parties as to why we can't. We may have to do it tomorrow. But if we can do that today, I do understand that witness has been here a number of days. But at this point, it's a question of the records coming in, which really is out of both parties' hands. So if the records are in, the parties can get ready. We'll do that voir dire. If not, we may have to do that tomorrow. Okay. All right. Ms. Reddington?
Ready? Ready for the jury, Judge?
Yeah.
Let's see who this first witness is, y'all. Here we go. The jury didn't come in. Did anybody want to bet they have a sidebar as soon as the jury comes in? Reddington's ready. He's like, come on now. Oh. Reddington's like, okay, here we go. He's putting his Madonna microphone on with a little thing up. He's going to be talking about... He's about to start voguing in that damn courtroom. He definitely needs the Madonna and Britney Spears hands-free microphone.
All right, please, jurors entering.
Jurors are entering. Okay, here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. The defense is going to go. It's going to be I'm hoping a breath of fresh air in this case. We're going to see how he's outlining this, what his version is.
All right. So members of the jury, as I indicated before, the Commonwealth is rested. All right. So at this time, I'm going to inquire of the defendant if she intends or wishes to call any witnesses at this time. Mr. Reddington?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. David, yeah, please, I believe she's right outside.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I hope it's way more organized and just, for lack of better terms, direct, if that makes sense. They're like, well, where'd they go? They ran off. She's like, oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. I got lost. I don't know who this is.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm going to ask you if you could keep your voice up and speak into that microphone. Okay? Thank you.
Say the same thing, so make sure that all the jurors way down here even can hear you, okay?
Okay.
Tell us your name.
It's Margaret Hamp.
And what town do you live in?
Stoneham.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a labor and delivery nurse
Where?
at Mass General.
And how long have you been working as a labor and delivery nurse?
I started on our labor and delivery unit in 2012.
Okay, so about what, 24 years? No.
I started for the obstetrics department in 2006.
Okay, so 20 years you've been working for Mass General between obstetrics and labor and delivery, right?
Correct.
Do you know Lindsay?
I do.
How do you know her?
I was working on the labor floor when Lindsay first started with us.
So this would be the labor and delivery floor, and she started as a nurse, correct?
Correct.
You had already been working there?
Correct.
And she was about, what, 24 years old?
Roughly.
And came in as a young woman as a nurse, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us, to your observation, let me ask you this, how many years did you work with her?
She started, I believe, in 2015, and I worked until 2002 when she went out with Callan.
About 7 years or thereabouts. Did you know that she had a child, Cora?
Yes.
And did you know that she had a child, Dawson?
Yes.
And ultimately that she had a child, a baby that was born very, very recently, Callan. In the years that you were working with her, were you able to observe, I mean, did she like being a nurse? Did she want to work, or was she a good nurse? What's your opinion?
Lindsay loved being a nurse. She was really good at being a nurse. She was compassionate. She was kind. She was a patient advocate. She was the type of nurse that you wanted taking care of you or your loved one when you walked onto our unit.
Did you observe, for example, that on occasion when she would be involved with the delivery of a baby, that she would become emotional?
Lindsay was often emotional during birth of complete strangers. She would cry and she would just say that was so beautiful. You could just tell that she really loved being in that setting.
Over those years, right up until the time of Callan being born, fair to say that you stayed friendly with her?
Yes.
And you're still friendly with her?
Yes.
Can you tell us, did you observe during the time you worked with her how she emoted or felt about her children, all three of them?
Yes.
Tell us anything that you recall.
So Lindsay and I worked the night shift together, and often on the night shift you get to have an opportunity to really get to know your coworkers and celebrate things that are happening in their lives or support them with things that are not going so well. Lindsay asked a lot of questions of her coworkers about parenting. Simple things as she would poll the nursing staff about monogrammed lunch boxes, right down to sleeping habits. What questions do you ask a daycare provider to make sure that you're in the right place? She was often asking her coworkers childcare, parenting tips.
When she had Callan, after Callan was born in the late spring of 22, did you see her after the birth of Callan?
I did not see her after the birth of Callan.
Were you aware that she had taken a leave of absence from Mass General?
Yes.
Did you stay in touch with her by phone or text?
I briefly kept in touch through text. After Callan was born, I reached out to her and I asked her for her address and how she was doing so I could send her a gift. And then a few months later, she circled back to me to thank me for the gift that I had sent her.
Do you recall an incident on one occasion where she was looking or monitoring one of the children and the child was crying and you observed what happened after that?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Lindsay often checked in on her kids while they were sleeping at night. Again, we worked the night shift and she had the ability to look at her phone and see what Cora or Callan were doing in their cribs. And she shared that with a lot of us. There was one particular night that Cora was crying. She was probably about 6 months old. And Lindsay never let Cora cry. She wasn't at that point in parenting. And she was very communicative about that. And Cora was crying on the monitor. It was the middle of the night. And maybe after 10 minutes, she started to call Pat and he wasn't answering. And she got really worried that Cora was crying, but now Pat wasn't answering his phone. So in the middle of the night, she called the police to do a wellness check on her family.
Okay. And while you were working the night shift, is that pretty much what you both worked together all those years?
Yes.
Would that be through the pandemic as well?
Yes.
Would you say that that was quite a bonding experience, being in labor delivery up close and personal with patients during the pandemic at night?
Of course, it was a very challenging time as a healthcare provider.
Thank you very much. You can inquire.
All right, Como?
morning.
Good morning.
So the incident that you just told us about where Miss Clancy was watching the monitor overnight, you were aware that the police responded and everything was fine, right?
Yes.
And you worked with her through 2022 when she went out with Levon Callan?
Correct.
And you never visited their house after Callan was born, did you?
No.
You don't know what was going on in her life, did you?
No.
And she didn't share any of her struggles with you via text or in any other capacity, did she?
No.
And as a labor and delivery nurse, and having been trained in labor and delivery, and you said you worked obstetrics before, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that you often have patients that come to you in both those areas that have some mental illness or are on psychiatric medications, right?
Sometimes.
And working labor and delivery, you have some training on how to handle patients that are on certain types of medications, right?
Limited training, yes.
Well, it affects how you're going to go through a birth plan or do a delivery if a person is on some sort of long-term medication, right?
Right.
And so you're aware that Zoloft is something that's deemed safe for pregnant moms and breastfeeding moms?
Yes.
And you've had patients that have dealt with bipolar issues before?
Yes.
And that they have to remain medication compliant in order to manage those things, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Brayington?
So your experience dealing with patients that have birth to child, as the district attorney asked, and are on Zoloft and expressing issues of being a parent, were you aware of any incidents where Lindsay was with you and a woman did in fact express concern that she wanted to hurt herself or her child?
There was a particular patient that Lindsay was on staff when this patient arrived. It was a patient that arrived to the unit that had plans to harm herself while she was pregnant. And we had a conversation. Lindsay was brand new. It was the summer that she had just started. And we had a conversation about mental health in pregnancy and postpartum. And I asked her if she had ever heard of the Andrea Yates case, and she hadn't. And I explained that to her, and she cried. And she said, how could a mother hurt her children?
Thank you. All set.
Thank you.
Homo?
No.
All right, let me sit down. Thank you. Counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Olenska, please. Olenska, O-N-S-K-E-G-A.
Wow. That was interesting.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
I'm going to ask you, speak into that microphone. Keep your voice up, okay?
Okay.
Great, thank you. Counsel.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Tell us your name, please, and spell it.
It's Allison Ozga, A-L-L-I-S-O-N. Last name is O-Z-G-A.
You know Lindsay?
I do.
How do you know her?
Lindsay is my sister.
And can you tell us, are you close to Lindsay? Do you live near each other? Do you socialize? What type of relationship have you had with her?
We're very close. We have not lived in the same state for about 10 years now, but we do communicate, and I do think we're very close.
And do you text with her on a regular basis?
Yes,
And you talk on the phone, do you?
occasionally.
Directing your attention to the fall of, well, actually heading into like Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2022. Do you remember that time frame?
Yes.
And did you have occasion to see your sister during that period of time?
Yes.
And let's direct our attention to, let's say, Thanksgiving 2022. Had you noticed any change in Lindsay's personality or any observation of how she appeared to you?
I will say on Thanksgiving in particular is when the first time I saw her in person after quite some time. I had known she had not been doing well via text message communication that we had. I think on Thanksgiving, she, her mood did not look good, or energy, she didn't seem very energized. It definitely seemed off from how I've seen her in the past.
And were you aware that that carried through from November into December around the holiday season if you had stayed in touch with her?
Yes.
And can you tell us what you observed about her around the holiday season as it related to her, from your observations and your texting and your communications with Lindsay? How did she appear to you at that point?
The beginning of December, it seemed like she very much decompensated. I do remember her saying at one point at the beginning of December, something along the lines of, I'm in a really tough spot. And knowing what she had shared with me previously about how her mental health had been struggling, I had this gut feeling that something was off and that she was really struggling. And I asked her if she was safe.
What did she say?
She said yes at that point.
And you knew her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And you knew the kids?
Yes.
Obviously. Do you recall around Christmas itself and perhaps a little bit thereafter that you spoke with her and that she indicated basically, I'm not doing okay?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what you observed about her demeanor or her symptomology when you said she was decompensating around that time? What were they symptoms in your mind of?
Based on communication with Lindsay, and I started communicating with Pat directly at that time, she was reporting her mood was worsening, as she described as depression. She was having more suicidal thoughts. Insomnia continued to be an issue. She was really not feeling like herself.
And did you know that during that period of time where she was telling you about the suicidal thoughts and the issue of depression, that she was seeing doctors?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about seeing the doctors, and if she was on any medication, and if so, what effect did they have on her?
So the first thing she said about the doctors was back in October when she said that she saw a doctor for Zoloft and had a very awful reaction to that Zoloft.
Would that be Dr. Tufts?
I don't believe she shared that specific with me.
Share the name? Okay.
No. And then I think throughout our communication over the couple months of October to December, she did share with me that she was going to doctors, she was getting different prescriptions, kind of all the things that they were trying and different treatments that we're looking at.
And do you recall when you were talking with her about her symptoms towards the end of December that she had, in your words, decompensated significantly and stated to you that she felt nothing and that she was scared, things of that nature?
Yes.
What else did she tell you, if you recall?
At the end of December, so I think it was more along the same of, that she is really not feeling well. Her mood is down. She's feeling numb. She's feeling hopeless. I believe at the very end of the month, she told me she had had suicidal ideation every day for a month.
Do you recall towards the end of the month around New Year's that she voluntarily admitted herself somewhere?
Yes.
Do you know where she admitted herself?
McLean Hospital.
And while she was at McLean Hospital, ultimately, do you know how she got out of McLean Hospital?
It was my understanding that she was weaning off of some medication that she was on, and then was eventually discharged 5 days later.
Now, did you see her or talk to her after she left McLean Hospital trying to wean herself off of whatever medication it was? Because you don't know what the medication was, right?
I believe it was Seroquel.
Seroquel.
Yep.
Did she tell you anything to the effect that when she got out of the hospital that she felt as though this was a step in the right direction? Did she seem as though she was trying to be positive about her life?
Yes.
And tell us about that, because up until this point, you had observed her decompensating and having these symptoms and suicidal ideation and depression and feeling nothing and scary. When she got out of McLean, what did she appear to you and what did she say to you?
I believe she said she felt that was a good plan and that she was starting to feel better.
So was your sister, in your opinion, granted she's your sister and you're biased, obviously, but was she a complainer?
No.
And obviously she didn't share with you in detail her doctors and medicines and things of that nature. Is that fair?
No.
But you were aware of the struggles and the hurt that she was going through.
Yes.
And then through the month of January, did you have occasion to see her, or were you, because you still live in different states?
Yes. Yes, I did have an occasion to see her in January.
When?
We went to Cora's birthday party.
And that was at the trampoline park?
Yes.
How did she appear at that?
I think she looked like she was going through the motions of putting together a birthday party for her daughter. But she looked tired. She looked like she was still struggling.
So there was a difference in your observation of what you had known your sister to have as a personality.
Yes.
And then, of course, the horrible day, were you aware, or did somebody call you and tell you that the children had been killed?
Yes.
One of them still survived and ultimately passed.
Yes.
And do you recall who told you that?
Yes.
Who was that?
My mother.
And as a result of getting the call from your mother, what did you do?
I jumped in a car, packed a bag, and I sped up to South Shore Hospital, which is where I was told she was.
Did you see her in South Shore Hospital?
No.
Did you know that she was then transferred to another hospital after South Shore?
Yes.
And what hospital was that?
I believe it was Brigham and Women's.
And were you able to visit her in Brigham and Women's?
Yes.
And did it take some time before they would allow you to visit with her?
Yes.
How long, if you know?
I think it was approximately 2 weeks.
Okay. And then you were able to see her pretty much on a regular basis?
Yes.
And where does your mother and father live?
In Connecticut.
And are you close to them?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, from the time of this incident in January 24th of 2023 up until now, 2026, where have your mother and father been living?
My parents have been spending the majority of their time up here in Massachusetts.
Why?
So that they could visit Lindsay as much as possible.
Almost on a daily basis?
Yes.
Was that on a bed and breakfast or a bed and bath, or was it a hotel, or where were they staying?
They've been living out of hotels.
Thank you, that's all. You can inquire.
Come on.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Now, when Lindsay was at McLean Hospital and she was discharged, did she tell you that she asked to be discharged early to go to Cora's birthday party?
I can't recall.
And do you recall speaking to the police on January 25th, just a day after this all happened back in 2023?
Yes.
And do you recall telling them that you saw Lindsay 2 weeks prior to the 24th, roughly around the birthday party time, and that she seemed okay?
Yes.
Do you recall telling the police that you spoke to her in phone calls many times after she was discharged to McLean, and that her tone of voice in those calls seemed better?
I did not speak to her on the phone. Most of our communication was via text.
So you don't recall saying that to the police, that the tone of Lindsay's voice in our phone conversations was better the last couple weeks since she had been released from the hospital?
I believe when I said that, I meant her tone via her text messages.
And so her tone in her text messages was better?
A bit.
And do you recall telling police that you spoke to Lindsay on Thursday, January 19th, 2023, and she seemed okay?
Yes.
And that was a phone call, correct?
That was text message.
Text message, okay.
Yes.
So when you were saying spoke to the police, you were referring to text messages?
Correct.
And so in that text message, she seemed fine?
She seemed okay.
So she had just been released from McLean Hospital at the beginning of January, and all of your communications after the birthday party were text messages. Is that correct?
I think the date's wrong.
I believe so, yes.
And just so we make sure we have the date correct, after she was discharged from McLean in January of 2023, up until January 24th, 2023, all of your communications were via text.
Yes.
Did you visit her at her home that month?
No.
You didn't reach out or call her at all, correct?
I reached out and called, yes. I did not visit her at her home, no.
When you called, did she respond? Did she answer the phone?
I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I can't recall whether I made a phone call. I can recall the majority of our communication between January 1st and January 24th was via text message.
Okay, so there could have been some phone calls.
I cannot recall any phone calls.
You are a licensed social worker, correct?
Correct.
And you're a mandated reporter, correct?
Yes.
And at any point in time between January 1st, 2023 and January 24th, 2023, did you have enough concern about the safety of the kids or the safety of your sister to file a report as a mandated reporter?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Reagan?
Oh, yeah, Judge, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me step down.
Interesting. Very interesting. Look at how fast this is going now. So refreshing.
I would call Paula Musgrove, please.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to remind you, like I remind everybody else, just speak into the microphone if you could keep your voice up, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Afternoon. Tell us your name and spell your name, please.
My name is Paula Musgrove, Paula Musgrove.
And this is Musgrove. Fair to say that you are Lindsay's mother.
Yes, I am Lindsay's mother.
And your husband is here as well in the blue shirt, correct?
Yes.
You've been here for every day for the trial. Is that correct?
Yes.
We just have a few questions for you. Obviously, you tell us about Lindsay when she was a kid. Was she a good kid, good student, that type of thing?
She was a very good kid and an excellent student. Very excellent student all through school, through high school, college. Yes, excellent.
Ever been in trouble, law enforcement or schools or discipline or anything?
No.
Were you aware of her husband, Pat?
Yes.
And obviously, you knew when they got married and when they were dating and things of that nature, right? Went to the wedding, obviously.
Yes.
Fair to say that you were close to your daughter and Pat?
Yes.
And you knew, obviously, the grandchildren?
Yes.
Tell the jury how you interacted and felt about your grandchildren.
I loved my grandchildren with all my heart. And you never know what it's like to love a grandchild until you become a grandmother. And it was the most beautiful thing. I love them with all my heart.
Now, did you have occasion to see how Lindsay reacted and treated her kids as a mother?
Yes.
And granted that you're her mother, so you're obviously biased. Tell the jury what observations you made of Lindsay as a mother through the years after Cora was born, and then Dawson, and then, of course, baby Callan.
Lindsay was a very loving mother. She was dedicated to her children. She was a fun mother. She was always doing things for her kids. She always wanted to be a mother, have many children, and I felt it was the best thing that ever happened to her. And she would do anything for her children. She was just a loving mother.
Now, in 2022, Callan was born. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you stay in touch with Lindsay and Pat during that period of time, the spring into the summer of 2022?
Yes.
And how often would you see them or talk to them, or what would you do? You go to cookouts, or would you have parties, or how would you socialize?
Myself and my husband would travel from Connecticut to Duxbury at least 2 or 3 times a month, as well as them coming to Connecticut to visit us.
And would you agree that in the summer, for example, of 2022, that Lindsay and Pat were active with the kids and were pretty happy?
Very happy, yes.
Did you observe in the summer of 22 any changes at that point in her personality and the way she was acting with her friends and in society?
In the summer, no.
And they were having a fairly good summer.
Yes.
Did you notice at some point a change in Lindsay's demeanor?
Yes.
Tell the jury when that was.
It was sometime probably around the 2nd week of October.
What happened that you noticed?
I noticed that she had become very anxious. She told me she was anxious about going back to work because Callan was having trouble taking a bottle and she didn't feel right about leaving him.
And as a result of that, did she tell you that she was going to put off going back to work?
Yes, she told me she was applying for an extension.
Now, did you know at that point that she was going through any issues involving depression or anxiety or having any suicidal ideation or anything like that?
At that point, no.
At what point, if any, did you become aware that your daughter was suffering from this symptomology?
In late October.
And how did that come about?
She sent me a text message.
And do you recall when that was?
Yes, that was on October 20th.
Now, Your Honor, the government has introduced into evidence the entire of the phone dumps, if you will, and I think they put it on a disc, and it's probably thousands of pages, but I do have the text thread that deals with that time frame in October. I'd like to offer that so that it's apparent what I'm referring to rather than having to search through thousands of pages of a disc.
No objection.
Okay. They may be admitted.
So approaching, let me after this thing.
276.
Now, the text message that you're referring to, would that be on October 20th of 2022?
Yes,
And do you have that on your phone right now?
I do.
Can you just pull that up for us?
I can. Just give me a moment. Okay, I have it.
Kelsey, do you have a copy maybe that she could look at?
Oh, I have a copy.
Yeah, that might be easier for the witness.
So I'm going to approach you with this board and ask if this is a copy of the text that you're referring to.
Yes, it is.
Would you read that for the jury?
Mom, will you please come up and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I started taking the medicine my doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone.
You want to write off this?
Objection. It's already in evidence.
What do we mark it for identification? Is that text within the?
I'd rather have it in the board.
Well, I know you would, but we already have the,
They want a little training. Can I just offer the board like?
no, we're going to mark that for identification. The text that is been referred and read to is within Exhibit 276, which was just offered.
I'm sorry, which is what?
I think it was within Exhibit 276, which was within that thread that you just offered.
Okay, so I will then, that would be 276,
Yeah.
so that will be over here. As a result of receiving that text, did you then come up to?
Hold on a second.
Exhibit W for identification.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So as a result of that, did you come up to Duxbury?
Yes, same day.
And tell us about that. What happened that day at the end of October?
Lindsay had been, I believe she went to the emergency room that day and she had come home. She was feeling a bit better. She told me that she couldn't sleep. She was very anxious and she was afraid.
And how long did you stay with her?
At that point?
Yes.
I believe at that point I stayed for about a week.
And was your husband with you?
He came later. He didn't come directly with me then because he was still working, so he came later.
I never asked. What did you do for work?
I worked for Weight Watchers.
And you're retired?
Yes.
How about your husband? Is he working now?
He recently retired.
And what was the nature of his work?
He was in photography.
What kind of photography?
School picture photography.
For yearbooks and things like that?
Yeah, and school pictures, and you had your kids' pictures taken.
And he just recently retired?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that during the month of October into November, into the holidays in December, that you and your husband would stay with Lindsay and the kids?
Yes. I stayed more than my husband because he needed to go back home to work.
Sure. While you were staying with Lindsay, can you tell us your opinion as to her condition? Was it decompensating? Was she getting better as time went on through November and December into the holidays?
Through November into December, it was not getting better into the holidays.
And you knew she was on medication at that point?
Yes.
You knew she was seeing doctors at that point?
Yes.
So tell us, is there an incident that came to your mind that you recall that occurred on one evening that indicated to you how seriously she was suffering?
There were many. One particular evening that was disturbing to me was that, she was afraid. She was afraid to be alone. And she actually asked if she could sleep with me.
When was that?
That was late November, early December.
And did she indeed sleep with you on that occasion?
She did.
Continuing on through the holidays, did you guys get together for the holidays, Christmas or Thanksgiving, if you recall?
Yes. I was down there probably most of December through Christmas Eve. And then I left on Christmas Eve to come home to see my other daughter and her family. And then Lindsay actually came to my house later the day on Christmas Day.
Was she with Pat?
Yes.
Okay, and the kids?
Yes.
During that period of time, did you make further observation as time went into January? Oh, back it up. At some point, she voluntarily went into McLean Hospital?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I was there.
What do you mean you were there?
I was at Lindsay's house staying with them.
You take care of the kids?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that Pat's parents, mom and dad, also stepped up, taking care of the kids, helping out during this period of time?
They were there, I guess, when we weren't there. I didn't really see them, but.
Right, because you guys would be different time frames.
Right.
But you all were pulling together as a family, is that
Right.
correct? January, leading up to January 24th, do you recall, and can you tell the jurors what, if any, observations you made of Lindsay and her condition?
Lindsay had lost a lot of weight. She had become, during this whole time, paranoid about different things that really she shouldn't have, really weren't logical to become paranoid about. She would mention that this wasn't her mind. She would say to me, this isn't me. I've never been like this before. And I would agree because she wasn't. She was attempting to go through the motions of her day, take care of the kids as best she could. She didn't want to drive. So at times when Pat didn't go pick the kids up at school, I would drive Lindsay to pick the kids up at school because she was afraid to drive.
Did she express to you concern that in this time frame that people at the school, teachers and other people would be able to know what she was thinking and would think that she wasn't a good mother because she was sick?
Yes, she said, the school knows something's going on because I'm not driving my car. They see that I'm not driving my car to pick the kids up.
Do you recall the end of January that she made a statement to you about the medication, in her opinion, what it was doing to her mind?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said that she couldn't remember anything. The medication was pretty much just destroying her mind, and it wasn't her. She said, this isn't me. I just want to feel better and enjoy my kids again.
Now, I know that this is difficult. In December of 2022, do you recall the time that you were in the kitchen with Lindsay and Patrick and she made a statement about her state of mind too?
Yes.
I know it's difficult. Just tell us what you remember.
I remember her being very nervous. I remember her saying, I just have to tell you guys something. And then she told us.
What did she tell you?
She told us that she had thoughts of harming the children.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we take the afternoon recess at this time? We'll come back for cross-examination. All right. So, ma'am, you can step down.
Thank you.
All right. So, members of the jury, we're going to take the break at this time. We expect to have you back about 2 o'clock. Okay?
All rise, please. Jurors exiting.
All right. Counsel, can I see you just for a second, just kind of time-wise?
Incoming Paul voice. Incoming Paul voice. Incoming Paul voice. Well, we've just jumped right into things. We've got the whole family up there. Wow. Notice how fast this is going. I'm so appreciative of that, right? It's like to the point. Get on the stand. Boom, 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 boom. Here's some questions. Bye. See you later. We don't need to know your whole hit. My thought process is this: when they get some of the heavy hitters up here, so we're talking about the experts and these big names that are supposed to be coming up or whatever, then they might do some more credentialing, as I call it. To me, these are just like character witnesses. This is him showing everybody the whole thing of she, had a mental defect or like a situation going on mentally. Kind of like the way the Commonwealth started their case off. But just more. Yes, they're going to lunch now. He wasn't gonna, he was like, this is a good place to stop. And I was like, amen. Let's go ahead and take our fourth break of the day now. So what we'll be doing, we're going to see what they say when they come back. And, he might come back and say, we're not having afternoon court. I mean, you never know this courtroom here. And, I'll set up a different stream for the afternoon live, and we'll end this one once we get confirmation that that is what's going to happen. Yeah, and I think witnesses like this, it's like whatever, like whoever it is, whether it's the Commonwealth or it's him, in other cases, it's like get him on the stand, prove your point, get the questions out, move it along. Done. We don't need to fluff it all up. We don't need to ask 10,000 questions. I'll be very curious to see how the Commonwealth questions the mother, the grandmother of the victims, right? It's like, this is very touchy. Now, also, I need to kind of pay attention. If y'all see this too, let me know in the comments. If all of a sudden that thing switches to court is at lunch and they just don't say anything, because sometimes I'll do that and it's like, well, what are we doing? It's like, well, they've been on lunch for 10 minutes. The thing says so, but we'll see. But it's also nice just to have a change of pace. Like, just get the other side up here, presenting their case, right? So it's just, we'll see what happens when we come back. We'll see what the state has to ask her and who's next. I'm imagining he's like clearing out all family members and people like that to begin with, coworkers, all the such. Yeah, so everybody just joining, the state has rested, and we are now in the defense presenting their case. He's called up where the mother was the last person on the stand. By the mother, I mean the mother of Lindsay Clancy. The state finished asking her questions. I'm sorry, y'all. The defense, my brain's all foggy. And when we get back from lunch, if we come back today, then the state is going to cross-examine. So that's where it's at. So we'll see what happens with it. Lots going on in the old true crime world. Lots going on in the old true crime world today. So there's going to be a lot of talking going on about all this. I can tell you that much. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I'm going to take me a little nap on lunch break whenever it goes to it. I'm tired. It hit me a few minutes ago where I was like, I don't know what it is. It's one of those days. So yeah, for people who are just joining, they're on a sofa sidebar right now. We're waiting for them to come back to let us know if we're coming back for lunch, what that's going to look like, all the things. They've been on the sofa sidebar for a minute. They're probably working out some kind of schedule stuff. And the defense is now presenting their side of the story, their case. We'll see what they have to say. Yeah, it literally is a case of the Mondays over here. Let me tell you what. Defense Diaries just tweeted out lunch break. Okay, thank you. You can pretty much just assume we're on lunch break. But then I want to find out, like, well, what time are we coming back at? What's going on? Usually the lunch breaks are about an hour. And what I'm going to do is set up a separate live for this one for the afternoon session. I just have it waiting basically for them to give us the word of like what time we're coming back. I'm assuming it's at 2:00. You never know. You never know. Okay. Okay, so they have 2 o'clock. It says on the screen, y'all. So I'm making the thing right now. And then what we'll do is we'll reconvene here in about an hour. You already know that they're going to do sofa sidebars and all that kind of stuff. And they probably when they come back. So know that. Don't get your hopes up on it. It will not be right at 2. But we will go live. And then let me just, oh, wait, I got to do the thing. I said, please hold. Please hold. I'm making the live chat right now, y'all. I said a shooby dooby a do day 14 afternoon session, boom. And then when we come down here, we go boom. Excuse me. Okay, so then there we go. So we're on lunch break. So what we're going to do is I'm going to end this live stream. I'm going to go grab lunch real quick, walk the dogs, do my stuff, and then we'll meet back up here for the secondary afternoon session and see what takes place. So for those who are going to join us later, I'll see you in a little bit. For those who aren't, I hope you have a good afternoon. We will reconvene around 7 tonight, and we'll do our case updates and get caught up in all the other cases going on. Thank you, mods, as usual, for being here. Thank you, squad, for usual as being here. I do love all of you, and I will see y'all here in about an hour. Hasta, everybody.